Ladies and gentlemen, and those brave enough to live in the non-binary space, please welcome to the show the stars of the Unpredicted Party, and here they are! Hello, everybody!
Oh, hi.
Wow.
Let
The
me...
crowd
Why weren't we doing that?
silent because this is all online.
Why weren't we doing it like that the entire time?
I agree.
doing
I,
it.
I think we also each individually needed like a walk-on theme.
Oh no, wait, hang on, my layout's wrong. My layout's so
no.
wrong.
Oh no!
I've
What's wrong with my
accidentally given
face?
Charlotte and Zach a weird,
Oh,
like,
that's too funny.
mid-face haircut. I'm so sorry. I thought I had this ready to go. What's
What is
happening?
going on?
I don't know, but
It's
you look like
been-
you've got a horrible haircut.
Once again, why
You know
we don't
what?
we've never done this
Great.
live. We've done it many
we
times.
have done this live. I had this set up for a previous
know.
call. Nope, that's
I've
Max's
actually never
artwork.
used a computer before today.
I,
I'm really excited to see what this is all about.
me too, Charlotte.
I've heard good things about the internet.
Oh, you,
Oh yeah.
I'm just glad it. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna do my best to. Hi, everybody. I'm doing my best. We're gonna do our best.
We're all
to
just
refit
doing our
this.
best.
We're
We
all just
truly
gonna
are.
do our best. And if we
You
don't,
know what?
What is
It's
happening?
before. It's a holiday weekend. No one's gonna be perfect.
Please don't take this too seriously, as we didn't for the last 3 years. And by that, I mean we took it way too seriously, sometimes to a fault.
Oh, you've got the overlay there. That's
Tell
great.
me over-
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
There we go.
It says I'm Zach
We
Smith.
have an overlay.
Oh, that'll be fine.
Why is this not? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Come on, we can do this. I believe in the power of me.
This is why we do
got it.
dress rehearsals.
I did. I had this ready to go, and then something within Zoom went horribly wrong. And you're not even in the right spaces, and you're not spaced out, and everything's just horrible. But it's okay, because we've got the power of friendship on our side.
We have the power of friendship.
And I'll be damned if they let anybody take that from me. Hang on, let me rearrange the entire. How's
We're getting
live chat?
closer.
I'm watching
Oh,
this
great.
happen like 10 seconds behind, and it's honestly, this is my favorite sport now.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. How is live
close.
chat? Are they handling this well? I don't want to scare
Yeah,
them. They're such
to be
friends.
fair,
Yeah, they're-
Witchery said, "I genuinely don't even know how you did that."
I'm not sure how I did it either.
Josh Neff says it's like the Gilligan's Island episode where their brains all switch bodies.
Wow.
Charlie thinks we should just go with it.
No.
It's a puzzle from
It's-
Josh.
Yeah, well, does it look at least better now? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
yeah, it
somewhat-
looks
it's
great
not
now.
There's a
great.
little bit. Tori's got the green.
I'm
that
trying to
you
get
can-
rid of the green thing. You
Well,
figure I
it's
would
not
know how to.
sized quite right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta. Okay. Here we go.
You gotta scooch us all to the right.
and
a
then
little bit.
and then you got. How was I even doing this before?
Don't
What's
know.
going on?
We take a sabbatical, and it all falls
Yeah.
apart.
Man.
Yeah.
We weren't
this
even
is-
gone for that long.
This is
Who could've
actually art. This
predicted?
is it's
It's-
quite unpredicted. All right, Max is. Oh wait, is it because I had this sized incorrect? It is,
Size
isn't it?
is also. It looks like the aspect ratio.
They'll tell you. Yeah, I just didn't.
You're
sorry,
There you go,
Master.
that's
There
better.
we go.
You're
I
long
fixed it.
and then
Yep.
Max
Yep.
is
I fixed
short.
it. I fixed it. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey,
Doing good.
It's not fixed, John.
that's
It's
close
not
enough.
fixed.
That's
No.
close enough.
No, Matt, like a bunch of Matt. There we go. Max is fixed now. Okay.
Okay, so you're on a delay. I fixed it in my real time about 15
Oh.
seconds.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I am,
see-
I am
okay.
somewhat
See.
delayed. Okay.
Anyway.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can
Fantastic.
catch up.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to the Unpredicted Party.
Lord.
What a good start. This is
Starting
how
strong.
many recordings start.
Really started,
already.
yeah.
Usually it's just me muttering to myself and not trying to just vamp for 5 minutes while I get this
Fine.
sorted. Okay.
We did it.
Good.
We're
Much
here.
punctuation
Probably-
in anyone's names? No, that's all good.
Why don't I read the
Mission
intro that I had written?
Oh, we have an
There you go,
intro?
yes,
Let's
absolutely.
hear it.
Ahem.
Go for it.
Hello, one and all. It's no secret that my time management skills as a lore master are terrible. This game was supposed to be 30 episodes as we hopped from one kingdom to another kingdom in Middle-earth, recruiting everyone for the battle ahead. Because yes, we've had one last alliance, but what about second last alliance? With that, I will open it up to questions that are going to be coming from my players for the first portion of this. Each of you will get to ask one up to a maximum of 50, because I don't want to limit you all too much. And then we'll move to another portion where we dip into live chat Q&A every so often. Hello once again, internet friends. I am Don Marshall. I am joined by the most wonderful internet and real life friends that I could possibly ask for. Please welcome Charlotte Moore, Lambert, Max Randolph, Tori Fox, and Zach Smith, the cast members of the Unpredicted party. Hi, guys.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Isn't this nice? It's so much more relaxed, so chill. We're not worried about dying.
Yeah,
That's so
Zach's
nice.
not at his
Yeah,
microphone.
This is our hot tub. This is the cast hot tub.
There it is.
Are we playing the
There's an
stick
overlay for
game
that.
then? Do we have dice?
Do we have dice?
Is the game of Rollies being transferred to real life as people get to ask questions?
That's kind of fun.
Just saying.
I'm down
They
for it.
win.
Get your dice out then, folks. Roll yourself a D12. I gotta go close this
no.
door.
Where's
Oh,
my
boy,
dice
hang on.
tray?
Are we actually? Oh my! I was just talking
No, I don't
talking
think,
nonsense.
I
But
don't
yeah,
know
let's
that we
let's
actually
do this.
need to do that.
But dice. I got dice.
But dice.
But dice. I got new
I
dice
want a
recently.
dice.
And
I
they're
have
so
a
very
question
pretty.
for each of you. It's going to be the same question, so just get ready.
that's fine.
Let's roll off. I rolled a 3.
7.
Is that good?
5.
Oh, wait, are we rolling?
Wait, hang on. I need to get a
Are we rolling 12s or 20s?
12s.
Yeah.
12s. How do I roll on my?
I rolled a 9.
Hey Siri, roll me a D12. No joke. You can do that. It's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Witchery in the chat asked if my dice bag is a watermelon, and it is a watermelon.
That's
rolled-
Oh my
amazing.
God!
Yay.
The insurpassable Jesse Jerdak, who I
Hey.
did a charity TTRPG with last year, called Roll for Initiative. His
Great
wife-
pun. Great
yes.
pun. So proud
His
of that.
wife made us all dice bags out of the material of our choice, and she offered several of us watermelon dice bags because we were raising money for Doctors Without Borders because of Palestine. So
Mhm.
it was my little
Very apt.
That's
That looks like
really
it would
cool.
make a
handmade with love.
yeah.
Laura
Oh, yeah.
Jerdak.
Looks like it would make a fun hat too. You just
Mhm.
Put it on. Put it on.
Yeah,
Like
there
a
we
grandma
go.
Hat.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The bonnet.
Yeah.
Little
Bonnets.
bonnet.
The bonnets. Yep.
Okay, who rolled highest? I wasn't keeping track. Max rolled a 7.
I rolled a 7 too.
Oh, I
Charlotte?
rolled a 9.
Charlotte, you may ask your question first to me if you have it.
I don't have one. I
Well,
didn't come prepared. I didn't do my homework.
you
I
didn't
never
come
did.
prepared with
Lame-o.
questions about what would have happened if something else did. Like, what was my plan? What
I'm
was
sure
Max's
I did
plan?
do that at some point.
Yes,
oh, okay.
Tori. Okay.
Oh.
No, go.
No,
All right, Tori. Oh, go ahead.
No, Charlotte, you probably know.
Teacher, I know.
Teacher's pet over here.
Yeah.
Ooh, me. Ooh. You forgot to give us homework.
I never did that. I want that on record.
I did do that.
Oh,
Which is
Charlotte.
funny because I never did the homework. I just hated when the pattern was off. Like I knew something was
yeah.
supposed to happen that didn't happen. It's
Oh.
weird to think that I didn't have any friends.
Well, you've got some now. Do you have any questions for any of us specifically? It doesn't even have to be me. You can just be the one to ask the question.
I actually now multiple questions are rushing to mind. So go with someone else. Come back to me.
Okay.
So I can pick a favorite.
Tori, I always wanted to be the teacher's favorite, so why don't we encourage that behavior?
This one is for you. If we kept Cat Sauron, at what point was he just going to straight up murder us?
Oh, okay. In what? When you mean in Mordor?
Yeah.
The Mordor arc could have gone so many ways. Because there were so many different people in play. Obviously, I wanted to tell a good story, but I also wanted to give you guys the idea of a hopelessness. You didn't have any agency. You had to create that yourself. And so in
Nailed
doing...
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I tried. But I also knew that there needed to be a running through line because I had, you killed werewolf Saruman, but he kept coming back, and I wanted there to be that Sisyphus rolling the boulder up the hill type style. So Sauron was going to not necessarily murder you himself. He was going to get others to do it. He was going to walk you into situations. He was either going to mind corrupt some orcs. He was going to take over the three-headed fell beast. There was going to be some magic rolls that I wanted to make, other cave trolls that he was going to throw away. And Zach made that basically not need to happen. And I don't think I've ever been more grateful for a more streamlined thing, because you killed Werewolf Saruman, because he's supposed to keep getting away. That is the point of all of this. So it was a question of whether or not you were fighting Gwaihir at the end, or some sort of reborn version of Sauron, as he has been trying to come back the whole time.
I have a question. Are you supposed to be recording this?
I am. I'm not recording this. Not recording this in Zoom, but I am recording this elsewhere, and it'll download onto YouTube.
Okay,
No, we're
I
good.
just wanna make
We're
sure.
good.
Actually, my question actually tallies on from that,
Go.
which was, what if Miauron, our beloved Tevildo, actually got the ring?
Oh, I had so many
Lost
plans.
the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So-
so if everything goes horribly wrong, we lose the ring, we
Mhm.
lose that fight
Mhm.
against Gwaihir. Because there was a chance that we could have actually been TPK'd against Gwaihir
Yeah.
if everything went really wrong.
Yeah.
What's
So
a scenario in which we lose? Does it just end?
So that scenario, if I were to, I'll answer your questions in this order. If I were to TPK you, I would immediately bring back Anna Maria, Trevor, Halbarad, Grimbjorn, all of the guest characters, to literally be like the fighting Avengers. Resurrection was always something sort of on the table with the elves, at least. Beery, if you had died, it was just going to be the most tragic. But
Guys,
like,
our stream's frozen.
what?
Oh no!
Hang on.
Well, damn.
Hang on. Shoot.
You broke the internet.
Apparently
at
you
mention
said-
of Beery.
Apparently you
It's
said
freezing and unfreezing.
I'm not recording this. Stream immediately died.
All
Okay, well we're
right,
back
everyone
a little bit.
refresh. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Sorry, chat. Thank you for keeping an eye on that, Charlotte. Yeah, so the idea was that if you were going to fight Sauron, you were going to fight sort of like a very necromancer version of him, sort of like evil spirits, lots of undead orcs rising up from the ground. I was probably going to throw in like some sort of zombified cave troll or fell beast or something within. But the really big thing that Sauron was going to go for was to try and corrupt the animal inside the egg. So if you had just chosen to not destroy the egg, or like leave it be, or try and turn it, that was sort of going to be your, no, not everything is evil, but this thing's going to have some corruption in it.
Yeah. Shit.
Interesting. I got a question for you, Don.
Yeah.
How is the stream doing? We back
Stream's doing
online?
good.
I
Yep.
think we're doing good.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm back.
I've been keeping an eye on it, and it's
All right, done. When it comes to like, because I feel like, you know, our game kind of took a little bit more of like a modern turn from like the original Tolkien-esque.
Yes.
You know, like what were some of your other inspirations when it came to your world building? Because I know like the Shadow of Mordor game exists.
Yeah.
Like what were some of the other influences?
So a big
For the
part
feel.
of for the feel, it became very clear to me as soon as Halbarad came along that I was going for a little bit more of like, oh, we are not speaking in old English and doing it. We'll still take it seriously, but like we're also going to say hit it and use some modern language. So I wanted it to feel a little bit more like, oh, okay, these are people that have grown up with these movies but are now probably teenagers to adults. So I went to the Witcher series, especially for like creatures. I wanted it very based in reality. I wanted there to be a limited kind of magic system with like this idea of like other etherealness of like, how does Sauron mind control all the art? I don't know. He just kind of does, and he's a dictator and he's a fascist. So how does Gwaihir do all of this stuff? Same sort of idea. Mind control and nature and very like nature-based things. So like the Leshen was one of my favorite characters to build. Didn't really get to have that big of a play in it, but like I love that idea of the undead being beautiful. So I wanted to pull from The Witcher, from Dune, from these very, you know, grounded in their own reality sort of stories that have cool monsters in them, basically.
What was one of the biggest surprises for you? What is one of the ways that the story most got away from you?
Anna Maria's Gandalf. Anna Maria, you're not supposed to recruit the army of the dead. Anna Maria's Gandalf, like I couldn't not give that to you, but at the same time, Anna Marie was not supposed to roll. Like, of course she would have, but I had thrown so much at you that at this point she had already rolled the natural one. And I'm like, all right, cool. They're going to fail. Everything's going according to plan. They're going to make it out, but they're going to have Arwen. She's going to be alive. She's going to be a beacon of hope, and she was. And then Anna Maria gives this speech. And I'm just floored.
God.
Like, how do you... And at that point, that truly is to me the rule of cool. I'll let a few things slide here and there, but I truly want it to be rule of cool style of like giving my players the agency to role play themselves into a better position than they were before. And
and Anna Maria embodies the rule of cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Zach, what's up?
Yeah. Again, kind of tallying on from that, is there a moment that you wished we had got to, that you'd plan to be like, this is gonna be so good, and we never did it?
Yes.
We never did it.
So
Oh no.
no, it's okay. It's okay. It worked out so great because we were able to streamline so much story that didn't necessarily need to be done, and it happened so quickly that Tariel, it was one of your earliest episodes, you were supposed to fight Wormtongue and his men in Meadowseld, and you were gonna be outnumbered. It was gonna be like this was right around the time, this was like 2022, there were a lot of left-wing versus right-wing sort of protests going on at the time, and I wanted it to be a much smaller force against many much weaker people. So even though that, like, we are the majority, they're not nearly as strong, but you would just have to be cutting through them left, right, and center. And I was going to capitalize on that when Tori failed her athletics check and got captured. You will remember, however, 2 of you rolled Gandalfs, and another one of you hit so well that I think you killed the initial guy outright. So I'm like,
Instantaneously.
it was amazing.
Instantaneous
She got grabbed,
death.
and then we just were like,
boom, dead.
Just
Oh, yeah, that was
her
all
back.
wham,
We will
wham,
take her back
like,
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, this battle is very much not going to happen. Now, I try to keep of the opinion that, like, oh, it's not going to happen this episode, but it might happen the next episode. And then, nope, Halloweth comes in. And Zach, this is what I love about it, because this was sort of the quandary that I wanted at the center of that is, do you kill Wormtongue? Is he worth it? Or is he just another cog in the machine of fascism that is just, I mean, like, what do you do with that? He's a human. Or do you let the people of Edoras take care of him? Do you take care of him yourself? And, like, it got juicy there at the end. Thanks.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah, it did. That was an important moment in Halloweth's arc from my perspective, for sure.
Agreed.
That completely recontextualized how I and Tariel saw Halloweth going forward.
That was actually a moment I decided. I remember that because I knew that I wanted him to have a moment like that the week before. So, I was talking. What was I talking with? I was talking with a friend of mine who also plays TTRPGs. I can't remember who it was now, which is terrible. But and I was like, it's great. Like, the podcast is going really well. It's gaining traction. It's going really well. But we're all, like, I'm a little grumpy, but we're all really good. We all are fighting for good. There is no real conflict internally in, like, there is a certain amount in terms of, like, Tinel's anger, Beery's, like, crime that happened, like, it not expressively and not outward enough to make it like it's very much the good guys and the bad guys, and they're gonna fight, and who's gonna win. And I said I want to change that, because I think that makes it interesting. If there's one of us which is just a little, and it was like, Barry is everyone's favorite character is Barry,
Yes.
and that's wonderful.
Yes.
Tinel is goodness embodied, and that's wonderful. So I was like, I want a one point of difference, because they're playing that really well,
Yeah.
and I want to play something that's not that, and just to have a little point of difference. And that was the moment, and I saw that moment, and I remember going, "Ooh, there's an opportunity here. I don't know if it's necessarily the right time, but we'll see what happens." And the reaction from Charlotte in particular was everything I needed to be like, "Oh, that was a good choice. I'm really glad I did that." They were like, "I am not sure that I'm concerned." I was like, "Excellent."
Yeah.
That's exactly
It
what I wanted.
It worked out so well because there were little hints of that, though, because there's in Mirkwood, before we meet Tariel, we find the Haradrim who's dying.
Yes. This was
And Halloweth
before
Mercy kills him. And I remember for Tinel, that was like, oh, right. this guy is very dangerous.
100%. There were hints
Totally
getting
forgot
Tara
about the
just come
Haradrim.
out.
Mhm.
That was our friend Drimmy.
Yeah.
Drimmy!
Yeah.
Drimmy united!
Of
This-
course.
this-
Yeah. That might have actually been the catalyst for that as well. Be like, I should continue this. Because I remember at that time I was like, was that a good choice? Will people not like my I was very concerned about people not liking my character after one
Oh.
year.
No.
Because there was so when we first began, I didn't really care about it afterwards because I was like, no, we're playing this great and it's great. Everyone's loving all the cast and we're all doing really well, we're all getting better. But I remember the first I think the comment is still there on the first YouTube video we have of like, love everyone, can't stand Halloweth. And that really he was like, he's just
No!
someone please tell me he gets better in later episodes. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want people to like not watch the podcast
Yeah.
with my character.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, is that? And then eventually I was like, fuck it, it's
Fuck
one.
'em.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I saw some of the same comments about me too.
Yeah,
earlier
and
episodes, I was
eventually it's like, oh, actually,
I'm here now,
yeah,
so
like, yeah, but
put a cream on it, I guess. I don't know.
doesn't matter. And be that everyone's well entitled to their own opinion. It's totally fine. There's going to be those characters that I love in shows that I love, and sometimes there's one character I'm like, man, I just don't like the way you're playing that. Like I have a favorite podcast, and there's one character who's just I'm like, it doesn't fit, doesn't work for me, and that's totally fine. So everyone's entitled to it. But
Yeah.
I think we're all playing it just fine. There was no need to worry.
Played, past tense.
I think your choices. I'm sorry, Don.
Oh no, I'm just correcting Zach's grammar because it feels good to do that to an
Oh, yeah.
Englishman.
Played.
Well, we're still actively playing. I think in our hearts, I am
Yeah.
anyway. No,
Yeah.
Zach, I think your choices were incredibly smart and really were what made Halloweth special. I mean, it gave us the way that you sort of gathered interest, like in the banking sense, with those decisions, and the way that in the latter half of the game we got to unpack all of that, like the way that all of that trauma and anger physically manifested in like evil leaving his body, and like, and yet still, even after that, he got the ring, like all that. I don't know. I think it was really cool the way that it paid off.
I have something to say about that really quick, Zach, that we did not get to in the actual game itself, that we didn't get to reveal. Do you remember the Morgul Blade backstory that we were going to do?
Yes.
I'm so sorry that this did not work into it.
Yeah, I remember that. That was it would have been really cool. It didn't work. In another life, it would have been great, but it didn't. And I'm okay with that not panning out.
Yeah.
But it would have been really cool.
It was one of those instances where we wanted to sort of have the connection, and I was going to try to find the way to insinuate that Ael was working on the very first Morgul blades for Sauron and using Halloweth as like a conduit or like a tool to test the types of magic on and like really bring out. Yeah, that was the sort of evil leaving his body like liquid sort of sentient symbiote thing that I was going for.
That's cool.
But
Yeah.
I love how that Gondolin episode came out though, Zach. I was not expecting.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Didn't expect to sort of give you your own backstory episode like an anime character that's about to die, but like.
That was perfect.
I do like to think that if that was animated, it would all be in black and white.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very
and
nice.
like a slightly different style. For
Yeah.
I was just about to say all this.
Way crank that grain like way.
Everything's like a Dutch angle, just a slightly off-centered.
The animation budget increases just a little bit to make you panic. Like, oh no, it got too good too fast.
Oh, somebody's watched My Hero Academia. Anyway,
All of Naruto. The second
Oh,
that animation
yeah,
changed, I
yeah.
feel like someone's dead.
Yeah,
Someone's dying
absolutely.
This episode.
yeah. Max, you haven't said enough words, and you're everyone's favorite character, and we're all saying it now. So
I have questions for Max.
ask
You
your
have
question to
questions
Max.
for Max? What?
Yeah.
Go. Let's do this.
I'm just
You.
enjoying the conversation, guys.
How
Kicking back.
long did you know, you Max, as his father, did you know that Beery had tried to steal the Arkenstone? Was that written in from the beginning?
Ooh, actually, no, not since the beginning. No, because I knew he's up to mischief, right? He was like banished. There's a reason he is out there. But no, that was I mean, not terribly far off, but a little bit further along. You know, because I was trying to think of first wanted to understand the character.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of let him organically manifest, because at least for me, because I don't do this very often, besides my home games. But like, I wanted that character kind of like be kind of sculpted by you guys, and like how he responds to stuff. It's like, oh, okay, that's how he feels about this. He started a little nebulous for me, and then his backstory kind of like worked its way back.
No, I loved watching you do that, Max, of like finding the character, like building the tracks as you're already on the train, trying to get it one step ahead. I do think, though, if I'm remembering correctly, I think I might have been texting you. I can't remember how we had decided that, but I think it was a text conversation between you and I that was like, hey, do you want to give it a little bit more oomph? Like, do we want to reveal? Because I'm all about drawing out that backstory piece by piece and just like just the slow torture, just like the Tariel, or excuse me, just like the Eowyn Tinel slow burn.
Oh, it's all about a slow burn, because you have like current events popping off right constantly, and then you have like the big background stuff kind of simmering in the background, which. That's what you need for a good story. But no, it was a lot of fun, and I loved working back and forth with Don. That was a lot of fun with just like, because there's a lot of history that I didn't know as like a casual fan of Tolkien, and Don and I worked a lot in tandem, creating a good old beery.
I like doing that. I feel like a weird casting director that's also the executive producer sometimes, but it's like, I like you for this role, but can you do this for me next? Because I think that's cool too.
And one of my favorite things in the entire world, and I get to experience it in my actual career, and just any type of creative work, especially when it's a collaboration, is when things start to click. When like Don, you'll say something, it's like, oh, I was thinking about the same thing, but then we could do this, and then it clicks for you too, and we're just like meshing with our imaginations. It's the best.
It's the beautiful thing. I do have to real quick give a shout out to Strange Charm, who just did a thing I didn't realize I had activated, is a super chat, which he donated $5 to the stream. Very grateful for that. Thank you.
And asked a question.
So,
and Don, do you want to start pulling questions out of the?
Yeah, I think we're a half hour into it.
I've been writing a couple down.
Yeah,
as I've been seeing them.
Of course, the note taker.
Right.
Let's get into it.
You're the best, Tori.
And if you can chat, if you have questions for anyone, please specify who you want to ask them to, and we'll try and do sort of a round robin style, so it's not just one person giving all of the answers. But we start with Strange Charm. Special thanks for that $5 super chat. What was the original plan for Orthanc? And I will tell you that it is very different than what happened. I was not expecting you to kill Saruman in that way. I wanted it to go another way, where you were fighting all up within Orthanc on the many different levels, and then maybe someone get on the top and the blue wizards were going to join in, and it was just going to be this like, I have betrayed you, look at this awesome power that I have gained with Gwai here. None of you can hope to stop me, because Saruman was flip-flopping between who he was like loyal to at any one time, and whoever it was gonna be at that point was like, oh, you're just gonna have to, you want level 1, level 2, level 3 tiers of fighting. It's like, well, now he's teleported because he can do that. For those that are maybe unaware, that haven't read the books in the Two Towers, there's a sort of thing where Saruman is able to appear in certain places and then disappear just as quickly. And so I wanted to utilize that as a combat mechanic to basically have you guys fight him. Unfortunately,
very reminiscent to the Gandalf Saruman fight.
Yes, that is what I was going for. I will
Just
give
a
you
proper wizard tower fight.
Exactly. I wanted to give you the proper wizard tower fight, and instead,
and
no.
Then,
but you know what?
Yeah. Then what happened?
It's perfect though, because then you get the Eowyn intimidation check and the Beery Halloweth connection being created, and Katie saying, "Let's build a glider."
Well, actually, I would like this corrected. Okay, I have, because this is all the conception. I suggested the glider, ran with it, and I was like, "Hang on, that was my suggestion." And then everyone was like, "That's really great, Katie. What a great suggestion." I was like,
Why do I remember it being Kate's?
No, it was
Totally
me.
remember.
Kate
being
ran with
Kate.
it and did the math for like, okay, at optimum height and like all of it, but
She
okay, that's
ADHD'd it.
You can watch back if you watch back, because I remember I haven't watched back the episode, but I'm gonna like an ask if it actually is Katie, but I very distinctly remember thinking it was me that suggested the glider as a joke. I wasn't actually going to suggest it as a serious thing because that's insane. And then Katie seriously suggested it, and I just remember going, "That's just okay." Well, if we're seriously suggesting it, let's work this out. Let's try and figure this out. But anyway, sorry, carry on. But that's a point I had. I was like, wait a second.
Clear
Wait.
record. Set it straight.
Thank you, Zach. Much appreciated. Let's move to Tori, who this question is from Winchester X Brothers. Tori, how many Rook and the Raven books did you end up filling?
Okay, so just one of Rook and the Raven, but I actually pulled them all up before we started. It is 3.5.
Wow.
Actually, 3.5. The middle is the last page of this one.
What is your final note? Can we know what your final note is?
Yeah, final note.
Oh wait,
Final
I want
note.
the first note and the final note.
Okay, final note is knighted by Arwen, Captains of the West.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then where's the first one?
Just give us the first page or the first thing.
Well, so here's the funny thing. These are the first pages, and they're out of order. So 1 second.
Oh. That's kind of adorable.
This is the best.
So I don't know if there's like, I think there is a session 1 somewhere, but I think it's like halfway through.
Strange Charm says, by the way, that Kate suggested the hot air balloon.
Yeah.
That's where we
That is what
started.
I now
Okay,
remember.
so that's what it is.
Yes.
Good God. Tori, while you are looking for that, I will answer this question from Ghost Girl and seconded by Winchester Brothers. The Mithril shirt was on Arwen's stomach the entire campaign, and it was not coming off. I don't know if that was ever like mentioned. Anna Maria and I had discussed it, but the Mithril coat being gone was a point that I wanted. It's like, okay, Arwen, you've got some baby immortality. Roll with the punches and let's do what we got to do.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Tori.
I found it, and it's literally Landreval is the eagle.
Oh.
And it started there, basically, and into the fight.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because Rook and the Raven weren't. We got sponsored by them not straight
That
away.
was later. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was later, yeah.
It was
Nicole
episode.
is asking if you would ever make the notes public.
If I edit them, sure.
Just take a
Alright.
picture of
'Cause
every.
There's things Tinel wanted to say in quotes in here that I like. The
Ooh.
conversation just never got to where I felt like it could fit in.
Such as, read us your
Yeah,
diary,
I'll find it,
please.
I'll find it. Okay, hold on. There's a couple. I'll find them. Hold on. Y'all keep going.
Okay,
my
Zach,
God.
this is a question for you. Are there any hands that Halloweth would want to add to his collection?
Your mum. No, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, Wander Sonder.
This is terrible. I think having Saruman, he would have a string of Saramans, just of how many times he got them. There was one line that I wrote down. I'm actually that in terms of the hands, he would have loved to get Guahirs, as you know, Guahe bonus, maybe a Meow on paw. Any other hands? I don't think so. He's got quite a hefty collection already. There was a line that I wrote down that I cannot remember fully that I was going to do if I ever killed Saruman again, and then I lost that notebook.
Oh.
I wrote down like a killer line that I was going to have if I ever did it again, and then I lost the notebook, and I still haven't found it. It will forever be lost to ether. If I ever find it, I will let you know. But it was. I can't say it now because it won't sound as cool. I can't remember exactly what it is.
By heart?
Huh?
Do you know it by heart?
It was something. Oh, it was something like, I'm going to carve my name into your soul so that I will find you in every lifetime.
Oh.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
That's heavy.
It was something like that, and it was going to
Oh my
be,
God.
and I couldn't remember it, and I flubbed I can't remember what I said in the moment, but I flubbed because I was like, I would have climbed for this and I've forgotten my line. So I was really annoyed by that. I didn't say anything at the time because I was like, oh, I had a really cool line. It was lame. But yeah, would have been fun.
I'm now imagining all of our characters' responses to that line
Yeah.
once said. You know, just the faces, the deadpan.
You don't really come back from
Everyone's slowly backing away from Halloweth. Run.
All right.
Yeah.
A question we have next from Max. How did you come up with the name for Gorge? Also, what was your favorite sketch or idea? And have you physically made any of them?
Ooh, you know what I should do? I should post them all. I should post them on your Discord. All the
Yeah.
Oh
different
yeah, the
designs.
sketches.
Oh, that would be
All the little
great.
sketches.
Yeah.
But Gorge, you know what? Okay, so it was like I did a silly accent for Beery to differentiate him from me, right?
Mhm.
And which I like to do with any of my characters or anything like that. You know, humiliations be damned. But you know how you have like a little anchor where you're able to kind of get that voice back, like, okay, yeah, I got him. And it's from Snatch. It's like,
The movie?
yeah. What do you mean you lost? Gorgeous George. And it's Gorge.
Wait. Gorge, the character, is based on Gorgeous George?
No. It's just like that was like the thing I would repeat in my head. I'm like, okay, I got Beery. But then Gorge just, I don't know, Gorge just popped in.
Gorge.
Great name.
That is
It's
Also, like,
fantastic.
you know, it's a gorge in the earth. Also, he's a pot-bellied pig. They're not usually very gorgeous, and I thought that's kind of fun. Yeah, I don't know.
love
It
it.
just kind of worked. Just everything clicked.
Love it. Tyson asks an amazing question, and I want to get it from all of you. Charlotte, we'll start with you. What would it take for you to betray the party?
Oh, holy crap. All right. That's for everybody. I won't take too much time. That's hard because the party is like everything to Beery. I don't think there's anything that would entice him. You know, he thought like money was one thing. You know, he was lowborn, so maybe wealth could have done it a long time ago, but I don't think there's much of anything that he would betray him. I don't think anything. Not even the Arkenstone.
What if Gorge
Wow,
was in
really?
danger?
Everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Everyone's dead.
Totally fair.
All right.
Totally and completely fair.
Zach, I'm very curious to get Halloweth's view on this.
If a call for it, Halloweth, especially, it maybe just like the very end, it wouldn't have done. But considering how mad and how much he chastised Raval for his betrayal, saying, "Hey, your feelings, your opinions do not matter in the grand scheme of things. No single person matters. No single group matters more than the whole of Middle Earth that we're trying to save." He would have done anything to get that mission done. It even at the very end, like he would have broken his heart at the very end, especially. But if it called for it, if it was like, hey, I got to choose between destroying the ring and killing Guahir or saving the party, he's going to try and do both. And if saving the party is going to help him then destroy the ring, like, more easily, but if there was like a complete choice, like, you know, the Green Goblin holding up a bus full of school children and Mary Jane kind of thing, like,
Deep cut, but yeah.
I know, 2000 people. But it's like, oh god, I've got one choice. The other, he's choosing to destroy the ring. And that's his whole thing. Is I've lived a long life. I've seen so many people. I've loved so many people. I've hated so many people. I've done all this. In the end, I have one thing left to do, and he would have seen that through.
Nice.
I think it was a very improbable scenario. I think it would have had to have involved desecrating Mirkwood in some way. I think if the party had decided, like during that first big battle that we all fought in Mirkwood, like if for some reason it was like the only way to clear out the spiders is to burn it all down or something like that, I think she would have turned and defended her home against the party. That's kind of the only thing that I can think of. There was one moment I don't remember if this has ever been revealed. If anybody asked or figured this out, there was a moment that Tariel deceived the party and did a bad.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if she did a bad. I don't know if it was bad. Can anybody
Morally
think
ambiguous.
What that
I
would
don't
have
remember.
been? It was near the end. I wonder if chat might be able to figure out there was a
I
thing
feel like
that
I
happened
remember.
that nobody could account for how it happened.
There was. I will say this.
Palantir?
There
No.
was
Yeah,
an
the Palantir?
account. Not.
No.
Oh, okay.
There was an account, but it was the incorrect account of what happened.
Yeah.
I
Anybody?
don't think I know.
Ravel?
No.
Charlotte.
I'm just gonna. I think chat is a little bit lagged. I'm just wondering if anyone's gonna guess it, but I'll just go ahead.
Yeah. There's a
So
delay.
when we were in Mordor, the orc that Halloweth cut its tongue out, and then we all went exploring, and when you guys came back, the orc was dead.
Mhm.
That was me. I mercy killed him.
Oh yeah.
And that was
That's right.
probably the only time that Tariel did something behind the party's back that she thought that.
Because
would
Gon
come
said that he died from his wounds, and I remember being up in arms because like that wouldn't kill him. What the hell?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that was it.
Just totally got plans.
Oh
for
my
the
god.
tongue, too.
Oh, the clay. Oh God. The tongue. The clay
Probably-
tongue.
Did you
I
do
had to
that
do it.
just now?
Probably just now. You probably need green clay, to be honest. Some sort of yucky brownish.
Yeah.
It's far too clean a pink for an orc tongue.
It's true.
Tinel, final. What do you think it would take for Tinel to betray the party?
I think that if she kept digging into her anger, that at a certain point I don't know if it would necessarily be like betrayal as in like a complete 180 and turn on them, but it just like I'm leaving and doing this by myself then kind of betrayal. So I think, and I truly think that would only happen if she really dug in on the anger, which was possible several times, and then someone would say something brilliant and I'm like, well, that would calm her down. That would calm her down.
Roleplay. Damn it. Hate it when that happens.
Friggin' damn.
We're gonna take a question from the Discord. Who is the next guest who is going to pull a Charlotte and stay for long enough to join the party? So I will ask.
Well, that's Apex's question.
Yeah, Apex's
Apex's.
question from the Discord. Who is the next guest that's going to pull a Charlotte and stay long enough? So I will ask all of you this as we move on to various one-offs and specials. Are there people that you want to play with? People that you... I mean, obviously, we're planning to have all of our guests back at certain points and times when we can do this, given the time. But
Well, I feel like this question was already nominated for me. Was Trevor the Beery and Curie adventure?
Beery and Curie adventures.
Yeah. That's the one I
Absolutely.
need to see.
pretty. I mean, it's a pretty promising title just because it rhymes. So and
But is that all the bones it's got? I don't know.
I mean, if you want to get started with this, can be our session 0. We can do this live, Max. Let's start now.
Call him now. Call him up.
See,
Yeah.
That's our
Here we go.
Moria adventure.
So you guys want to know about what Moria was supposed to be?
Yes. Oh my god.
Oh,
Because
yes.
you guys missed out on a
We
big
avoided
chunk
that
there.
completely.
Yeah, which
And the Shire. I also want to hear about the Shire.
so
Oh, yeah.
so I had a couple of ideas for the Shire. Let's get to Moria first.
Yeah.
Moria was if you didn't go through the overpass. The overpass was going to be my easy way. The underpass through Moria was going to be my, okay, you've gotten through it, but you're going to have a lot more when you go through. You're going to come out the other end in a way more significant way. And that was that you were going to travel through the mines of Moria, and then you were going to be stalked, literally hunted predator style, by this noise that you couldn't figure out. It was going to be some insanely ridiculous stealth check that you were... Wait
Wait a minute.
What?
I feel like before you spill the beans, this might be an amazing one-off.
Let me tell you, don't worry, because I have what's going... I will tell you what's going to happen. In the adventures of Beery and Kiri, there is going to be some sort of Moria aspect to it, as I have written it so far. What
What do
was
you have it written?
well, kind of. What was going to happen was you were going to be stalked by Cat Sauron, and that was going to be your first introduction to him, but you weren't going to figure out who he was until you got to... I'm not sure if it was going to be Chamber of Mizarble, where they have that big fight scene in the movies, but basically he was going to be in there and he was going to lead you in. It's like, see, light. And instead of light, it's not the way out. It's the Chamber of Mizarble, where there's just a little bit of shaft and all 9 ring wraiths are going to be standing around the tomb ready to cut you to pieces. And all of a sudden it was going to start getting way hotter in there. It's like, oh my God, Sauron recruited the Balrog. What the fuck do we do? And then it was literally just going to be like Temple Run style of trying to escape Moria, because there's no way you're able to fight, that sort of deal. And it's like, oh, that was going to be my sort of, oh, we've escalated things now. We're now fighting the fire demons. That didn't happen, though. You guys chose to take the overpass, and Sauron recruited the Balrog to destroy Rohan. And I am very grateful that it...
Still got the Balrog, though.
That's just Steve, right?
Steve.
It's just Steve.
Just
the
little
Balrog.
Steve.
Yeah. I see a question from Tyson. Could they adopt the cat? No.
Oh, wait,
gonna
the
put
Shire.
it to that. No.
I want to hear the Shire.
Oh,
yes,
Shire,
the
Shire.
Shire. So, okay, there were 2 things that I had. One was going to potentially be, depending on how I wanted to play this, Tariel, your relationship with Bilbo, and whether or not you encouraged him to bring the Shire folk into this, whether or not Bilbo could drum up enough support, send letters home, or in a very last-ditch effort, Bilbo was going to potentially make his way to the Shire to say, hey, look, we got to do what we can. They need food. They need some... This was sort of way back in the beginning when I was conceptualizing it, after the Arwen moment, when you hadn't recruited the army of the dead. The Shire was going to come along and sort of like be your, well, we've got food. We don't have much, but we have stores, we have supplies. We're great navigators. We're great fishermen. We're not great hunters, but we can do our best. And they were just going to try and chip in and add what they could. And then potentially we meet a Rosie or a Fatty Bulger type character, or some sort of NPC Hobbit character that sort of was going to be the Samwise Gamgee insert. I chose not to go in that direction for a couple of reasons. Just it didn't make sense story-wise, but I didn't want necessarily to involve the Shire this time, since it seemed as though there was not really... This was a very different type of campaign than the little guy's going to save the day, literally, because they're little.
I would like to ask a question on behalf of Josh.
Go for it.
Sometime back for Don. Are there any One Ring mechanics you didn't use because you thought this would be a shorter campaign, but you would have used if you knew how long it was really going to run?
Yeah, so I kind of did this, but I wish I had delved more into it. You get this, oh God, I'm not even sure what they're called, but like each location that you visit has like a central location, a person that is tied to that location, and then like the benefit that you get is like an extra +1 here, an extra +1 there to various things. You get caches and bonuses. I don't remember off the top of my head what it's called, but basically like if you were to go to Mirkwood, Thranduil would be your like point of guidance. If you were to go to Rivendell, Elrond would be your point of guidance. If you go to Lothlorien, Galadriel would be that. I couldn't really do that, but I loved the idea of like it not being who you expected. Like, oh no, it's not Thranduil that's in charge of Mirkwood. It's actually this random NPC that took over, and the rest, it's just going to be a commentary on leadership and skill and trust. And I wish I had been able to play with that a little bit more. But you guys all sort of ran with the, okay, we're going to recruit everybody, and the story worked out the way it did. Yeah. Also, if I did not answer your question, or the chat did not answer your question, or sorry, if we did not answer your question, chat, feel free to write it in again, or if you come up with something else. We are not able to look at everything right away, so just want to make sure we get our questions
I'm
answered.
looking at everything.
I was about to say, I did see one from early on, but I'm so sorry. I didn't get the first part of the username, but the last part was walk alone. And it said, what would have happened if we didn't go to Angmar and find the Blue Wizards?
Oh, so that's You'll Never Walk Alone. He's a longtime viewer. If you did not go... So Angmar was sort of like the first of the things that I had sidetrack for you, because I needed sort of the establishment of like, okay, we've got our first few episodes. We know the stakes. We know what's going on. Let's send them on a little adventure and not make them go up against Galadriel in episode like 5. That seemed a little ridiculous. So I wanted to create a kind of side quest mission just to see how you guys would mesh. It wasn't going to be anything crazy. But I also knew that it was a possibility that you guys said, no, fuck you. We're going to Lothlorien. You can't stop us. And I think had that happened, you would have, this is very early on, there was an army that was coming through and basically going from the south to the north to try and sweep up the dwarves, which is sort of the Erebor arc that we never got to. But you would have found the army. It would have been camped just outside of Mirkwood. You would have assumed Radagast is either dead or like that portion of Mirkwood is completely occupied. And it probably would have forced you to either do a number of stealth checks to like even get by the army or like steal helmets and like clothing and stuff and try and make your way through. And there was going to be some interaction there if you tried to go that route. You were potentially going to find other cave systems that were going to take you there, and you were going to learn to trust Beery in that way. Just all of these sort of thoughts about how can I get my players interacting with each other while still existing in this world that is currently going through chaos.
Okay.
Yeah. Great question.
All right. Couple of really good ones have been asked.
Oh, actually, while Charlotte's looking, I have one which is kind of, I guess, mostly for Don.
Yeah.
But how, after the first episode, way back 2020, like, must be, yeah, just like March of 2022, after we finished filming that first episode, how did you feel?
Oh, God. I was so excited. I'll tell you this. So this first episode was great because my wife was there in the Zoom call, listening in, running tech in the background, because I had never done anything like this before. Even though we were pre-recording it, I didn't necessarily know what I was doing. I didn't have the overlays in OBS the way I do now. I didn't have the graphics. I was literally building them in Photoshop after the fact. And as soon as we wrapped after party, she grabs my face and goes, "That was so good." And it just made my heart so happy to hear her say that. And like, it was so much fun to be able to say like, oh, what we're doing is telling a really cool story based off of a joke that potentially can become very real. And I was elated because I was so scared that you guys weren't going to get along, or we were going to have, we had, you know, like a session 0 and making sure we all got along. But like, if there was any rough edges to work out, I wanted to make sure that we could get them out of the way quickly. And Beery, as soon as you started that game of theft in episode 1 where you stole silverware with Bilbo, I was like, you know what? It's not my game anymore. It's theirs. Notes be damned. Let's do this. This is fun. Let's vibe with this. And I never stopped from there.
Hell yeah.
Gotta have fun.
Yeah.
Winchester X Brothers asks a question that has been co-signed by several people in the chat, which
Go.
is to all of us, what was the biggest what the fuck moment that made people's jaws drop?
Oh.
Ooh.
I would like to start with Tori.
Why?
Because I love you.
I love you. Oh my, that like made me go, what the
I
like, what the
assume they
fuck?
mean that made us individually go, what the fuck?
Oh my God, there's so,
Yeah.
I've written it
Biggest
down a
what the
couple
fuck
of
moment.
times.
You really
I,
pick one.
How about this? We can't use Anna Maria's Gandalf.
yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I
fair.
actually did write down the fucking Arkenstone. So I think, like immediately coming to mind, probably that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Good
several
plan, damn
other,
it.
but I do remember when it clicked, I was like, no.
No.
It was bad. It was real bad.
I got one.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
for
I
it.
got one. And it's not like, it's so funny because it's actually very low stakes. Medium stakes. Medium rare stakes. Anyways, it was the damn wedding marriage.
Oh my
right?
God.
Yes, doppelganger Eowyn.
But
Yes.
she's got the hammer raised, and I'm like, come on, you almost got it.
I'm
And
so
she
sorry.
doesn't.
I felt so bad telling you no. Like as a
wasn't her.
DM, it wasn't her. It wasn't Eowyn.
wasn't her.
She didn't have it in her. And I was like, let me at least roll some dice. Let me give this man a chance. Cause like, I don't know, in my head, Gamlia has not been through the best thing, but is she capable of murder in that moment in front of a crowd of hundreds of elderly women and children and right-wing people who are siding with Wormtongue? That I had to let the dice tell that story, and I felt so bad saying no. However, I think it was sort of counteracted by the fact that you figured it out.
Oh, yeah.
We figured it out like kind of all at that same moment, and that was
Yeah.
jarring. Like, this is not, it's not her. None of us would know what she looked like, and it was brilliant. Like, that was such a fun twist that I think I felt physical pain from.
Yeah. That was, I will say, the Rohan arc is probably my favorite because it is one of the first. I wrote Paths of the Dead, and then I wrote Rohan because they were like the two easiest things. Sorry, you can hear my dog barking in the background. Just ignore
All
her.
right.
Not really.
Rohan was just my chance to play a sniveling little slime ball, and I loved it.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
I have I can pick a bunch. I think the biggest Can I pick three?
Go for
Yes,
If I
please,
can hit
yes.
them quick, my top three.
Yes.
Okay, from least to most, what the fuck? I think the appearance of Steve, because we basically
Balrog.
I think
Yeah.
ended the episode.
Yep.
And there's a Balrog, and we were all like, no, what do you
That's
mean?
mine,
What do you
I
mean?
think.
Yeah. Okay.
That was gnarly.
Which, in the scheme of all of the things that we conquered, was relatively low level boss at the end of the day. But at the
Balrogs aren't
moment,
that hard to kill when you've got an army around you.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, but Tinel was in the middle of an existential crisis,
Correct.
and there was a lot simultaneously going on there.
Halloweth failed that scan check, didn't see the caves, changed the
Yeah,
entire
that was-
trajectory of the battle.
Yeah.
Then the next highest one, I think, was when we were at NokoCon, and the Witch King of Angmar showed up on a freaking three-headed monster. And when you showed us the figurine,
mini,
I was
I
like,
had
"What's that
Arche-
for?"
It's
What's that
Archeon
for?
the Everchosen from Warhammer, not fantasy, Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And it was my absolute favorite thing to pull that out and just be like, hey, by the way,
I was really unhappy to see that.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
And then I think the biggest one is realizing that all of the animals were sentient.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
mhm.
That was such a game changer for
Mhm.
how we had to approach everything.
Was that the wolves?
No,
for me it was the
wolf-
badgers.
Badger.
Yeah,
Badger
it was
family.
the wolf that talked to us was Gwaihir.
Yes.
So we hadn't
Because that was
quite-
sort of
Yeah, 'cause we were like,
everyone is a spy.
yeah.
Yes, but also
Oh.
oh no, if we, Anna Maria had this beautiful moment with this badger mama,
Mhm.
and it was oh no, if we defeat Gwaihir, are we undoing it? Are they going to be trapped in their bodies? It's what's going to happen? And also, they can feel everything that we do to them, and they're going to take Gwaihir's side because, of course, they're going to want to be in this wonderful animal utopia they've been promised. Oh, God, enemies on all sides. It was just...
Mhm.
That was
that-
right around the time I was like, oh, okay, Halloweth's girdle is definitely going to come into play in this because I need some talking animals potentially through season 2 if we want to do this.
Yeah.
Well, that piggybacking off of that, when Gorge actually talks, and you were like, "Oh no, you can all hear him," and we're like, "What?
Oh, the best
Yeah.
boy.
What?"
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, there he is. There he is.
Here he is. He's been through some things.
Mine. Oh
Zach.
shoot, I just had
Wait,
it.
Zach,
Oh, sorry, Zach.
can I
go
hear
ahead.
Zach's?
Yep.
Within the campaign, the Balrog is definitely up there because it was the finale of the episode. We were like, oh, we've got so much to, and I had such a plan, and it didn't work for 2 hours. And I mean, that was the most frustrated I think I've ever been on camera. see,
You did have a really good
You can
plan.
see my mental
Yes.
state slowly deteriorate throughout that episode. It's really funny. Learning Barry, I think I had so many theories for what Barry had done that the Arkenstone was like. That was a big shocking one, but I come up with so many other ones that might have happened. My initial thought was that there is no more Erebor.
Oh.
I thought
yeah.
a bunch of stuff, and I was like, maybe, just maybe, Barry caused the collapse of the mountain, and the reason he never wants to go back there is there's nothing to go back to. That was initially what I thought, and what I
That's-
Totally. Well,
that
and
would have
it's
been
fun to have
wild.
sew in some mystery, so you're like left, coming up with your own stuff,
Mhm.
Mhm.
It was
But that
fun.
was sketchy little bastard.
Yeah. That was it. Honestly. So for Zach as a player, the biggest oh my god, was Trevor Collins coming into that Zoom call.
I remember
Yes.
that. I remember that.
Yes.
You
Having-
were
Zach
so
is
cute.
blushing just thinking about the
Oh,
moment.
no, I'm just it is warm in this room, and I'm on a very warm light. But no, I remember going, oh my god, because I remember him following like all the party members and being really excited about that, because I've watched Achievement Hunter and Rooster Teeth since I was like a
Mhm.
teenager, like I was 13 years old. So that was a really cool moment. And that was the moment that I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm so composed usually, and this is just breaking me. So that was like the most jaw-dropping moment for me.
Mhm.
But Halloweth, it was probably either the Balrog or the Oxen. The Balrog was just a wild thing, because that was the first major
Yeah.
major obstacle that we just had to fight, like fight or flight kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was the first
Yeah.
one. Yeah, there were a few after that, but nothing after that. Honestly, it came to a point where there was nothing that we couldn't do. I felt like.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I was like, yeah, bring on the
leveled up.
Balrog. Okay, we'll do it. That was the first one. I was like, I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have one from Monday night that I need to get from every single one of you. If you could go back and change any decision your character made, what would it be? Great question. Great question.
Goodness.
Oh, I will.
I stand by all of them.
Yeah.
Cosign.
I will let my players think on this, but I will give you this. There are NPC choices that I wish I had made because it might have been more interesting.
Do tell.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
this was going to be my alternate plan for what happens to Rayval. And one of the ideas that I was playing with at the time, and I was leaning more towards the Havari, Baron, and Luthien storyline. The darker side of that was the Turin-Turambar line, where
God.
if when
no,
Elrond and
no.
his sons go off back from the paths of the dead to Rohan, Rayval is going with them. Well, I was going to have them get separated, and he was going to get captured by the Witch King, and there was going to be some sort of like back and forth where Rayval was going to get like tortured or potentially like have some sort of like existential crisis, and then he was going to have his mind poisoned, and then they were going to let him go.
Oh.
Thank you
Yeah.
for not doing that.
Yeah, I
because
played it
if
light.
There's one section of the Silmarillion that I now just skip.
Yep.
It's of Turin. I just can't.
Mhm.
Can't do it.
So the regretting of a decision, is this in character or us as the players?
I think the specific wording of the question was your characters.
Okay, so your character, so our
Yeah,
characters.
yeah.
I think for Beery, if he were to regret anything, is to let Tariel off the hook sooner. There was like this like kind of tortured span of time where he was like rethinking his friendship with her, because like when she killed Kat Sauron.
Yeah,
That was a hard,
right.
and it was really fun for Max, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm over here just like, ooh yeah,
Yeah,
some
because as a player, I wouldn't want
juicy,
you to
you know?
redo that.
Mhm.
That was really good character development
Yeah.
for both
that
of
was
us,
fun.
and it ended with just like some really beautiful moments, and I think grounded their relationship in reality a little bit more, because it can't just be like the adventures of Tari and Beery all the time.
totally.
So no, I thought that was really good. Unfortunately, I think if Tariel were going to change anything, it would be in the opposite direction, which is she would have just stabbed Gollum in his sleep or something. Like would have just the first time she wanted to do away with him, she would have done it instead of heeding Beery's objections.
Yeah.
Zach,
he-
you man that keep your word. You just had to keep him alive, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a shame. I don't mind that though. I think it created Gollum was a fun character for us to just hear the voice come out and have that as a constant threat, because it was a constant threat with the party every single time. I think you neutralize that, you neutralize a lot of the tension. I
Yeah.
think that's fine. Um,
Good job.
mine's actually it came in the almost last episode. Um, I well, it spans a little bit longer. I wish I had started the romance with Tariel a little sooner.
I agree.
I think that I wish that had time because I wish we'd started the flirty, is this something or is it not something, a little earlier, and then had that develop a little more smoothly.
Yeah.
I think, but I still I still like almost everything about that. It's still one thing I would change. I do love how that came to be. I think that's really it having that start out as a kind of the two gruffer characters beginning to show like more affection and is this flirty? Is this just
I can see
competitive?
what's happening, and they don't have a clue.
Well, but I didn't have a clue. I mean, to be honest, you never. I don't like to force any type of relationship in any type of game.
Yeah.
And as a latecomer, I didn't know what exactly had been established before I got there, but of course there was this whole arc with Thranduil that was
Right.
very important, and I know it was important to Chris, and that everybody in the fandom was very delighted by, and there was no reason to just interject into that. And I also, I tend to sort of push back on how often in games, in TTRPGs, in live plays, people automatically assume that any two characters that are having any kind of chemistry, they're going to get together. I feel like people
Live
force
chat, we're
relationships.
We're looking at you.
It happens with everyone
it's
though.
okay.
It happens with everyone. I
Yeah.
feel like people force relationships to happen that don't happen organically. And it was one of those things where, like, if it was going to make sense for any two of these characters to get together, great. But I don't think we even really started thinking about that until even the chicken, even the sexy chicken thing, for me, that was just a bit. And I think it's really healthy for people to have platonic relationships that just have like bits, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
And to be fair, I love, and that's why I think it worked, is because it was actually such an organic progression. It started out as a bit, and which is how so many real relationships just everywhere begin. And then you're like, oh, actually, is this something? And you begin to question. And it was fun for me because I began to question, like, actually, for Halloweth, is that a bit? Has that gone just that one step further? And that's how it develops for me in the first place, is because it started out as something which was just like, oh, this is just fun. And then Halloweth had a moment, like, in my mind, Halloweth had a moment and learned and went, what is this feeling? What is happening?
Yeah, and I
push that down. Like, that's how it would happen, which is exactly how it would happen.
That's how it happens. And I don't know what that moment was for you. That moment for me wasn't until near the end of the campaign when Halloweth and Tariel were facing off in the frickin' nest, basically.
Yeah.
And there was just like, and the chemistry and the antagonism there was some commonality. There was some thing there where it was like, but is he? I know he's trying to kill me, but is he?
Yeah.
But what are we?
But what are we? Yeah, and so then that was kind of when you and I started talking about it, even.
Yeah.
So
well, exactly. I wish for my sake and for the sake of like, I want to know now. Maybe that'll be like one of the one shots. I'd love to know what happens to them on the hunt for the Entwives or something like that. I think that'd be a really fun thing to do, to explore that just a little further.
Yeah.
There was a moment where where Thranduil came back in Minas Tirith, and again, I love playing with Chris. Hi, Chris. Love playing with you. Fantastic. And I love what we had in the Mirkwood arc, and I think that it was a really fun way to play it, and it was deep and meaningful for both of those characters in that moment in Mirkwood to have that relationship in the way that it did. I then, when he came back, Halloweth kissed Thranduil again, and that was a mistake on my part because that was fan service in my like, I know they want to see it. Here they are again. It wasn't forced because it was still like he still has like great affection for Thranduil, but it was like that we had this amazing moment and then they've moved on. Like Halloweth is such a different person to who he was in Mirkwood.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for him to have moved on. And I didn't play it that he had. And then he goes to like Tario, like, hey, you, me, he's just kissed Thranduil. What's that about? Like I played that poorly because I
don't think you
was
did.
thinking like, it's the last episode.
No, I don't think
Like
you
let
did.
everyone like that's what they want to see, and that was wrong with me.
But people do that to themselves in relationships.
that's
you know?
like
people
real
are like, I
life
feel like I should
mirroring.
kiss. Feel like I should continue this relationship or try this and try to trigger a feeling that I don't have but feel like I should have. Sometimes you got to do the chemistry-less kiss before you realize like, oh, I don't think I
Don't
want
feel anything.
this
Yeah.
anymore. I
Yeah.
think it was good the way that it was in the place that it was, and it's better to just leave it as it was and respect it and agree that it's time to move on now.
Yeah, I think, and I think overall, I did that immediately after. I was like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. That makes because I know that I wanted to pursue the like Halloweth knew who he is now was with Tario, and that's what he was like. Okay, I've actually more clear on what I want now, and I want to play it that way. And I was like, I feel like I think I did that poorly, but
No, I don't think you did. I think it was nice, and I know I'm sure we've got to move on from this question because it's starting to feel a little like
we're going around.
self-absorbed. But I just because the chat is still talking about it, and like witchery, I know as a joke is saying like polycule, but also like, but no, because sometimes relationships just end.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're like this is a self-contained thing, and they end, and then we move on and we honor the new form of the relationship. And I like thinking about. Like, I think it would be fun to do some little scenes from Tariel and Halloweth's journey into the East, but I tend to think of it kind of as like one of those. I'm thinking about the Last of Us episode with
Nick Offerman?
With Nick Offerman, where you just see it's like the whole arc of their relationship, but like just these little beats, these little moments. And they lived happily ever after. And you don't have to know every moment in that journey.
Right. That's true.
They just, whatever they did, they took their time doing it. And when they were finished, they gathered up Beery and they went to the West. And like, I'm very happy to just.
Yeah, to be fair. Absolutely.
That makes me.
Elves live long lives. They're going to have
a lot happens.
seasons.
Yeah.
All right.
I would, while I'm thinking about that, like to ask Max, it's like maybe kind of it's not kind of, it's going to be a sad question. What do you think happened with Gorge? Where do you think Gorge was laid to rest? What were the last years of adventures with Gorge? And Dawn, do you think that any of like
is
Gorge's
it too late to go back and just say Gorge is now immortal?
Gorge is immortal?
Yeah. Can we just?
I don't know.
I don't know if
I feel like Gorge needs to have gone into the West.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
we load him up with Bilbo.
Don't make me think of this. I mean, can Gorge, like, didn't he hold the ring at one point? Can he go to the grave?
I think so.
The bearer of the ring. Did Beery? Sorry, I forget who amongst you had the ring at any point. Who held it in their hand?
I think we all did.
I think we all held it at one point.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Damn.
Yeah.
Some longer than others.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember that the thing. I'll answer a question by sort of doing this a roundabout way. Technically, you'd all be ring bearers then, because you know the weight of it. You'd all be free to get on the boat to the Undying Lands.
But we were elves, so we could have done
right,
that
but you were going to do that anyway.
I never did. I've just realized the only thing I did was tackle Gollum. I never actually held the ring.
That's true.
That's true.
Interesting.
That is true.
Oh, that's right. Because I was gonna tap into your magical powers a little bit more, and I was gonna your temptation was going to be to draw on that power way more, and you were just gonna be like,
oh, totally.
What I was gonna do is the mechanic for the magic was gonna give you 50 hope points, just like the wizards do. And you were going to be able to, from that list of spells that I gave you, just use any of those that you wanted. And you were just going to be able to feel, and none of it was going to be real. You were just going to be like firing on all cylinders there. And it was just,
But to answer Charlotte's question.
Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
This is a hard one for me, because when you attach your soul to like another creature that doesn't share the same lifespan that you do, like that's dangerous. I think, if like lifespans, run their course. I don't think Beery would be totally Beery anymore. Like that would be it. He'd probably maybe go on walkabout for a long time, just journeying. But like a huge part of him will go with Gorge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
He was your
Beery's,
heart
he-
pig.
Oh,
He was,
I think there will be an awesome dwarven like monument on the top of a mountain somewhere.
yeah.
yes. 100%.
Hewn
Diamonds.
stone and
Yeah.
gold and silver filigree. Yeah, like the best boy for sure.
Give him
And
little
that's what it's
wing.
carved
And-
in dwarven runes. The best. Here lies Gorge, the best boy.
Yeah, and I
love it.
think Barry would just go on a walkabout. He would just then like kind of leave what he would like. Gorge is they're such anchors to each other. So I think Barry would just be set adrift.
Speaking of dwarves and Erebor, would you guys like to be recounted with what I originally had planned for
Yes.
Tank Tolman and the Erebor arc if you got there?
Yes.
Yes.
So this was going to be potentially pre-Tariel. I had sort of always planned for the idea of which of the kingdoms are you going to go to, the Shire, Erebor, Mirkwood. I had plans if you went east. They were just a little bit looser, and I was like, okay, well, we're getting into unknown territory here. What are we going to do? But for Erebor, I wanted it to be very reminiscent of like, oh, this is dwarven culture. They are locked in. And they were basically going to be similar to what Chris's one-shot episode was going to be for Thranduil. They were just going to be hunkered down, not letting anyone in. And Beery, you were going to walk through Dale that had been destroyed, and there were going to be bodies everywhere, and there were going to be battle, like remnants of a battle. And then you were going to have to knock on the door and ask to be let in with 3 elves behind you. And I was so ready for that interaction. And then we were going to, at some point, introduce Tank, and Tank was going to be able to corroborate your story, and we were going to go back and forth.
Oh, that's cool.
And
That'd
then,
been rad.
yeah, the ultimate goal, though, was I wanted to try and have Sauron get as many allies as he could, and one of the reasons he's called the Necromancer, I was going to play around with that idea and raise the bones of Smaug from up underneath, and you were going to fight like a Draco Lich version of...
Shut up.
yeah. Yeah.
Dang. Dang.
Could you
Can we get a
imagine?
do-over?
I have
Yeah,
a dream.
can
I
we-
have dream sequences already planned for things that we
We need to
haven't
do some
done.
what ifs.
But yeah, that was one of the things that I wrote that was like, all right, if I could get Tanked, and unfortunately just with scheduling with Tank and with all of our schedules, we weren't able to do it. But yeah, that was the sort of idea of, oh, the dragons come back to Erebor, but it's not a fire-breathing dragon. It is the personification of like death and destruction, and the dwarves are finally going to break their xenophobia and be like, oh, the war has come to literally our front door. What can we do to stop it? So
Yeah.
xenophobia was
Yeah.
not going to win that day.
Max has run off to
Yeah, I'm
do
not
I think
something
he had to potty.
nefarious.
Yeah.
Oh, I just
Yeah.
always assume that when Max runs away, he's gone to get a really cool prop or something.
That too.
Entirely possible. I was going to go to break after I had told you guys, but I'll have to wait until Max actually gets back. Someone asked previously, what was a situation for me that the cast set my pants on fire, or made me want to set my pants on fire, or just ultimate frustration? And I'm very curious to see if any of you had something like that happen as well, because this is...
Like, what was the most frustrating thing that happened to
like,
us?
is there a moment that you can remember that is like, oh no.
Oh, yes. Oh, immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Besides the
And-
Balrog.
No. Oh, I mean, for personally, like as the players,
Either way, I'm fine with that.
it's not funny. It's going to sound funny in a minute. You'll understand. The chat right now is still sort of talking about like their pets aging and their feelings about like having to say goodbye to their pets eventually. So when we were recording the Brennan Lee Mulligan episode, I was doing so from my friend Katie Mack's apartment in Canada, and she's not in Toronto. She's she's about 45 minutes outside of Toronto in a place where the internet was like not great. And so it kind of kept going in and out. And I was already feeling really stressed about the fact that like I had delayed us in starting, that I kept freezing, that the one scene that Tariel and Brett, like we were having back and forth, like I froze in the middle of it. That was all very stressful. But that we recorded that a few months after my dog Annie died. And I had been wearing her ashes in a little locket absolutely everywhere. And I would sometimes fall asleep with it on without meaning to. And at some point, if you're paying attention close, it's kind of near the end of the episode, there's a bit where I suddenly like look down and it's because my locket has spontaneously exploded and Annie's ashes have just spilled down my front. With Brennan there. Nobody else saw it. No one was, I just went, oh no. And now my dead dog is in my lap. And I'm having connectivity problems. And during the break, I had to go and get Katie's dustbuster and vacuum up my dog.
Oh my god, I forgot about this.
And Katie, she's vegan and she like is very like she was just mortified. She's like, "What do you mean you have to vacuum?" I was like, "I have to vacuum my dog and then go back to my game." I think about that a lot.
On that note, I'm gonna give the cast a quick 5-minute break.
No, I want the others to answer though.
Oh my god.
So
do we need a minute? Okay, do we want to keep going?
Top
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
No, mine doesn't
Are you
compare.
kidding?
Really? Telling us that's mean. No, here. I need a quick 2 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. Let's take a quick 2 minutes. Live chat. Go get some water. Go use the restroom. We will be
I'm
back.
gonna go get some alcohol.
What do you think I've been
I'm
drinking?
re-embarrassed all over again.
Yeah, that fits.
boy.
We're gonna try our best to be back at 8:28, 5 minutes from now. Whether or not
Thank you,
we
5.
actually hit that time remains to be seen, as always. But we'll be there. We'll try. See you in a minute.
$5.
Ladies and gentlemen, and those brave enough to exist between a binary, please welcome back the cast of the Unpredicted Party. And look, they're all where they should be.
Maybe.
We're doing it, Peter.
Welcome back to the second half. That is going to be slightly shorter than the first half because I didn't realize it was 8:30 right now. It's 8:30 p.m. And Max brought the finger out and he's sticking it up his nose. That's the kind of quality content you get here on the live stream.
Should I finally say goodbye to it right now?
Max,
It's been on my desk this whole damn time.
Oh,
Like, should I finally at last?
that is
mold
up
it
to you,
back
my
into the
friend. I
nasty
will not
pink
stop
mass?
you. Not stopping you.
I don't know. I kind of like it.
It's
It
so
is a
gross.
good finger.
so awful.
Like it's a
Yes.
good
Yeah,
finger.
It is awful.
I think it's.
And
I think you got to
the
keep it.
broken.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
that's
you gotta
worse.
keep it, and I think you have to. Is it like is it baking clay? How would you
No, it's just
How
for me
do
to
you-
fiddle around with.
how do you preserve that forever? Because I think it would be funny if you managed to preserve it and then forgot about it eventually, and then one day rediscovered it, but couldn't remember what it was for.
Oh God,
It's
that's
like,
Why do I
horrifying.
have this?
That's horrifying.
Like an old man, one day you just
Mm.
go and pull it out. And, oh my gosh! And then
I do that now. Like just
That's
with
fair.
weird random chunks of steel and bolts and nuts and weird random. Oh man, like what the hell?
We have a question to start off this half. That comes from, speaking of music, could we buy the soundtrack from season 1 to support you getting the soundtrack for season 2? I suppose I need to reach out to Cullen Vance again, because technically I commissioned the music through him. But so long as Cullen is cool with it, I have no problem doing that as a way to sort of fund season 2. Full disclosure, a lot of the music that you hear is just the same like 4 or 5 stems of music that he sent to me that I have looped or played backwards or played at a slower speed or a higher speed or a different pitch in like 17 different ways. So it's not all gonna be there, but you are more than welcome to play around with it because I just
Very creative.
well,
There you
I
go.
get bored really easily when I'm like I'm just sitting there and I'm editing at ×2 speed. I'm like, what could make this better? Oh, right. And I just kind of play around with it so my brain doesn't like sit there getting bored, you know? It's like the
So,
anti-ADHD.
speaking of season 2,
Yeah.
and speaking of The Hobbit, I know I said this before, but I want to nail this thing down.
Mm-hmm.
I still want a cozy Hobbit Stardew Valley Shire story. No drama.
Yeah. So my my fiance Hannah has is gonna potentially text Don about this. Again, this is all with it. This is all potentially because she wants Don to have a chance to play in this world.
Oh yeah.
Good.
I have only previously played once
Exactly.
in Middle Earth.
So
I-
and Hannah wants to give Don a chance to play, to basically DM a cozy Shire thing potentially. Again, this is up in the air because we do need to run it past Don obviously, and to go through a lot of steps first.
Yeah.
But that is me and her have been talking to be like, hey, we want to make sure that Don
I'll
gets
play
a
at your
chance, 'cause
table. Yeah, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
Just a 3-shot.
sure. Twist my arm, why
Just a
don't you?
3-shot.
Yeah.
This allows me to circle back to a previous chat question. I no longer remember by whom it was asked, which is why didn't anybody play a Hobbit? I didn't because I wasn't asked to. I was
Well,
asked to
you
Taria.
were supposed to play Tariel for 3 episodes and then never be seen
Yeah.
again. I was
No, you disallowed us.
That's
if
how
I remember
people
right.
prefer me. In
Yeah,
very
so-
small doses.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really wanted to get across about this being a different sort of thing was that I wanted it to be very not Hobbit focused, because Merry, Pippin, Frodo, and Sam are very much the exceptions when it comes to hobbits. They're like jovial and adventurous and all good loving, but they're the ones that got out of like the Shire, so to speak. So to put that on another Hobbit felt a little disingenuous. But also keep in mind, this was originally going to be before the 5th edition module of the One Ring system existed, we were just gonna straight play this up in D&D, and I was just gonna say, okay, no fireballs. We're just playing this no magic system. I think Beery at one point was like an artificer class with like a couple of levels in fighter or something at a certain point, and we were building it early days, and I was like, okay, this is fine, this is working, I could do this, and then boom, Free League like comes out and we get the early stuff. I'm like, I can do so much more now, and it sort
100%.
of snowballed from there.
So no hobbits, but they had to settle for Beery, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you're Hobbit coded. I think I'd like to think Beery is a little bit jovial.
I don't think so. Max is dwarf coded. I'm sorry. Max is dwarf coded. Beery is dwarf coded.
Okay.
But
But
Don,
dwarves are usually so dour, you know?
No, they are not.
Well,
Absolutely
some
not.
teams.
Some of the ones that we see, but dwarves are in. I think everybody should know this if they don't know this. Dwarves are the Klingons, and elves are the Vulcans of Middle Earth.
100%.
Correct.
Like dwarves
Correct.
like to, they like to party, they like to fight, fuck, and have a good time, and they're very free with their emotions, and that just means that, like, you know, when shit's going down, it's going down big. But you know, they love hard, they fight hard, they don't do anything by halves.
Yeah, I like that.
And you are a big, beautiful personality, and also I would never want to cross you. So
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the
I've
jovial
never
ones you
seen
got to
you
look out
angry,
for.
and I don't
Yeah,
want to
what's-
think about it.
What's that saying of like beware the like anger of a patient man or a quiet man or something like that?
Something
What's
like
that
that.
That's
saying?
it. That's the one.
I can't remember the full saying.
There's something about calm waters, or like disturb the calm waters, or something. What lurks
Oh.
beneath it?
I just looked it
Charlotte,
up.
you're an English major.
I
Yeah.
just looked it up. There are 3 things all wise men fear: the sea and storm, a night with no moon, and the anger of a gentle man.
That's it.
Ooh, chills.
I do kind of wish we had seen a little bit more of Dark Beery play out. It was great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It is
I had a
great
lot.
when it
I
happened.
had a lot in there.
Yeah.
But,
You
like-
yeah.
I didn't want to draw it out, right? Like there was definitely an appropriate time, and it lasted while he had it, right? And there's definitely a lot more. Like I had some like kind of mental cues jotted down for like escalations that I could take.
Yeah.
But everyone did really good, like talking him down and like reasoning with him and like really tugging at his heartstrings. You know, because
Yeah.
you guys have like, well, your characters have kind of like become such a huge part of him that like no amount of corruption or his own anger could like blind him completely. You know, you guys were able to reach him, and you guys did so well. It was beautiful.
Yeah, but the way you played that was also it was in such stark contrast to everything else that we know about Beery. That was why it was so effective and chilling.
Yeah, you had a gun,
so-
man.
so
You
well done.
straight up had a blunderbuss
Man,
pointed.
can we put that on the
Like a
list of
gun.
things
That
that
was-
fucked me up? Like,
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah.
I'm so
damn.
glad you didn't pull that trigger, man, because there was a good chance Beery was straight up gonna lose his fingers. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Also, I love the
I-
idea of
No,
Beery
go ahead.
having like the bionicle hand from Treasure Planet.
Yes.
that would have been pretty cool. That
Sorry, I
would've been
interrupted
pretty
Tori.
cool.
No, I was just gonna say I was convinced one of us was gonna lose a hand at the end.
I lost a foot.
You lost a foot.
Yeah.
It's true.
That is true. I was convinced one of us was losing a hand. I thought it was gonna be Beery or Tinel.
Oh, I thought one of
Also-
us was dying.
I did think that it was going to be Barry's hand. I did think that was going to happen at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
was,
I think
I
I
played
might have
around
wrote
with
that
that
down.
idea a few times. Halloweth, I will say, one of the things I do regret a little bit was not having you at least strike some rocks on the way down. Like there's technically rocks that you can land on within Mount Doom, and your athletics check was just good enough, and that's sort of how I'm playing it out in my head in that moment. But like, you should have been bouncing off some rocks and maybe losing something else. I wish I had done a little bit differently with that, but in the moment, you know.
No.
No.
He probably did, but it wasn't. We didn't know that, right? Like it was just all of a
Yeah.
sudden instant
Yeah.
despair, loss, that he's screwed.
Because none of you
He's over.
see it, right? You're both still far away
No.
enough that you see him go, oh, okay. Well, that's...
Yeah, he goes over the edge, and then they go, and he's dead on the ground. Like, that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was
leaving
my
a little
moment
bit
of
to the
panic.
imagination is important.
Yeah.
Great, you did perfect.
Actually, Max, I have a question for you. Are you you played the character of like the almost always like optimistic, hopeful, bring everyone together and pull them up by their bootstraps if they need it kind of character.
You betcha.
Are you wanting to play like going like in the next one? Like not to like completely, but like the more Halloweth style, grumpy, moody.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, definitely changing it up. I definitely like ridiculous characters. I love being a bit of a, adding that like sense of comedy because stories can get dark, and I think it's really important to have the hot tub scenes, right? The, do you want to play a game moments?
Mhm.
But like, how do I bring that through a different character? That's not, a truly ridiculous person. And I don't know, I've been toying with the idea of like, ooh man, like build someone that's very seductive but ridiculous at it, very Liberace style, whatever. Like I really like to stretch myself as far as possible. So I have no idea actually which direction I want to take.
Okay.
Because Grumpy is so subtle, and I'm not a very subtle person.
No. No.
You know what I mean? I got to play to my strengths, baby.
All right,
Exactly.
But it's a good question.
Mm.
I've been thinking about it.
I actually have a question for you, Charlotte. You said you wanted to play, and we didn't get to this as much. Dark Tariel, like a little bit.
Damn
more of
it.
an
Chris
ang-
just asked me this, and I
Oh.
don't remember.
You don't remember what you wanted
Go
to
ahead
do?
and ask me for posterity.
What did you want to do as Dark Tariel?
I don't remember. I think what it was that I kind of had this general sense of wanting to become like the Queen of Mirkwood and scour it clean of all of the spiders and the necromancer's taint and rule it as it ought to be ruled for the little elves, the lower elves. I think part of the like chip on her shoulder thing of being a Sylvan elf. And Don, you and I kind of came up with some backstory near the very end of Tariel's arc because we never meet Tariel's family. We don't know anything about them.
That's
and
right.
I had
you wanted to do something with your parents, I think.
At least I wanted to know who they were.
Yeah. We can. I mean, you want to write some
it doesn't matter, but I felt like if Tariel was going to be her most evil self, it would be to sort of exterminate or bring to heel all of the high elves, so that the Sylvan elves could have their time. And I'm sure there was more to it, but that's kind of, I think it was gonna be like a lot of like pontificating at the Gondolindrim about how like you guys have always thought that you're better than all of the rest of us, and it's great that Gondolin burned to the ground, that shining city on a hill. You never deserved it anyway.
Oh no!
Kind of thing, yeah.
Nice.
It would have been hurtful. It would have been really hurtful.
Dang.
Yeah. Also, Don, your volume's kind of low.
Oh. There we go. That's a little bit better.
There it is.
There it is.
Tori, I have a question for you because I've tugged at the heartstrings of Tinel fans for quite some time, and also yours because you gave me the okay to just give you the backstory as it was coming to you, and I loved thank you. First of all, thank you for letting me play with that. That was delightful. What did you eventually make of Tinel's overall arc, given that like you weren't really aware of the grief and the sadness and the loss that you were sort of about to undergo, and the thing that I kind of made you Feanor about, where you could potentially burst into flames if you got too angry.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did that all go through your head with? How'd you do that?
I love that. I love the ride because I do think at one point I would text you. I was like, yeah, bring the pain.
Yes, you have texted me that exact word. I'm sure I can find it in my text messages.
I think that is what at the end made Tinel be like, I think it's okay for me to just wander a little bit. Because she doesn't know everything now.
Mm-hmm.
And so as long as she had like she set up a home in like wherever New Lorien was. And then the second that was established, she was like, okay, I can go actually find myself now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what led her to that at the end. Because, like, have you guys seen The Good Place?
Yes, I have an
seen
elvish
Good
tattoo
Place.
that I'm
Okay.
going to get that Chris has translated that is a quote from The Good Place.
Is it
Perfect.
something about is the wave going back
It's
out?
picture a wave in the ocean.
It's that, but it's also that Tinel started out that she doesn't remember all the snaps. So she can't learn anything.
Oh.
So she's
yeah.
starting at a fresh slate every single time. So now that everything's ended, she has this home now, everything's relatively at peace. She can grow and build from the emotions she's been feeling the whole time.
Love that. Nat is asking, can I share a little behind the scenes about the finale? Yes, please go ahead and share anything in chat. I'll be sure to read that out here for my players as well. I'm not entirely sure what's going to be brought up, but I'm very excited. Actually, now that you've done that, I want to ask everybody else. We've kind of gotten everybody almost, but I want to get Zach finally. Zach, was there anything about your character that, like, I did as the lore master that, like, you vibed with? Because I have to just give you your kudos about how good of an actor you are that, like, Hi, Star. Sorry, for those listening on the audio only, there's a really cute dog in our Zoom call right now. And I'm easily distracted by dogs. Did you have any particular moments like that, like Tinel had, like, overall character that, like, pinpoints the, oh, Halloweth is this?
I knew from the beginning that Halloweth was going to be like old as hell. That was like the one thing I established. He's just old. He's going to have be reluctant. He's going to be a reluctant participant in everything going forward. He's not going to want to really, like, if there were to be an anti-hero, it's going to be him. We discussed about halfway through, like, I established that he's from Gondolin and that he did something, like, really bad, that Gondolin was his fault. We established, like, halfway through that he is the son of Ael, and that his whole childhood, his whole backstory in the forests, growing up, because initially I wanted him to, I can't remember if I wanted him to be Maeglin, or if I think I wanted him to be a full, like, brother or something like that.
I think the initial thought was you wanted to be Maeglin and he had, like, returned from the dead. That was the initial pitch. I'm like, that might be a little too far. And then you were the one that threw him?
I wanted him to be a full brother. Like, I wanted to be the same, and it wouldn't work lore-wise. I mean, there was something that wasn't working there, and so it made a half-brother, different mothers. The piece that I vibed with in particular, I don't know if there was one singular moment, but I enjoyed working with you closely throughout that process of going back and forth on these, like, super long, like, essay texts of, what about this backstory? I'm going, okay, I like it, but here's the lore of all of that you want. Let's see what we can do with that. And that was actually really fun, but behind it, not necessarily playing, but behind the scenes, like, we worked a long time on trying to get it exactly right in terms of time frame, who, and get that family tree right. And then we were gonna have, can you say the guest that we were gonna have initially playing?
Oh, yes. I can reveal this. We were going to have, some of you may know him, the voice actor. He goes by Chris Tester. He does a lot of work for the Warhammer 40K series. He started out doing monologues, just of random book speeches. I saw him do Feanor's speech for the Silmarillion, and I duetted it, and we became mutuals, and he is just one of the nicest people to work with. I originally wanted to have you, Zach, and you, me, and him, and Chris Tester in the same sort of situation where Maeglin.
Yeah, and he and I had a long call, so we were on the phone for like an hour discussing like the relationship between Halloweth and Maeglin. Yeah. It was a long.
That would have been so dope.
We can still do. I mean, look, if he's up for it, I will gladly have him back. We can have a Halloweth one shot, just two distinguished British gentlemen.
I think it would have been great. I think it's that whole arc. You can't bring back that kind of emotion. I think again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like the reveal has happened that Halloweth's a different character. It's okay, but it was going to be really cool. And we talked about some really cool stuff. And it was then that I was like, okay. There's some real darkness to work with here, and that's going to be pervaded, and it's going to be interesting to see, because he's not going to be able to deal with this by himself. This is going to be collaborative. This isn't going to be Halloweth slowly realizing who he is. It's going to be, how does everyone else influence him enough that he realizes that he isn't like alone. And that's his whole deal. And that was really fun.
Love
that.
That
AO reveal was definitely one of my what the fuck moments.
That was major.
So good.
That was a lot of
fun. Yeah. That was one of those things I'm like, how do we do it? How do we properly? And then I'm like, Saruman doesn't give a shit. He's just going to say it. Also, I do want to point out something that my wife has shared in the chat, and I will now share with all of my players. Before the last 3 to 4 filming episodes, Don would come in and be like, okay, I'm going to go film. This may be the last episode. I think someone's going to die.
Nah, bitch, we're not that easy to kill.
I was so convinced one of you would like for the elves at the very least, if there was the opportunity for resurrection, choose to come back. Or if you did like hurt one another, would there even be a party at the end? Did the ring take hold? Because I very much was reckoning with the idea of like, this is not going to be a Sam and Frodo all happy and together. This might be a very different ending. So I prepped for that. Luckily, it was just a failed athletics check where you forgot you had advantage, and I've never been so happy that you rolled a 2 and another 2 off camera in my entire
the dice
life.
Really were like, no.
It happened this way. It happened this way. Please.
I also want to say, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I found something flipping through my notes.
Yes, please.
That Halloweth accidentally did, of when he's coming back from the like being dead. They're like, do you want to go back? Well, you kind of said the same thing when you came out of your dream trance. You said, Halloweth to Tinel, I would like to come back. And you said almost the exact same thing coming back from the dead.
Whoa!
Awesome.
Tori! Tori!
Well done, Tori.
Respect.
I was like,
Tori with the receipts. Always.
Love
That's
it.
dope.
That's why it helps to have a note taker in your party, folks.
You're
so you
welcome,
can
folks.
pull this out, 2.5, 3 years later, and just kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to. I have notes from sessions 1 to 3.
Nailed it.
In that really cool
I have no
notebook,
notes.
right?
I have
A really cool Middle Earth notebook, and eventually I was like, "This is," because I remember I cannot remember. There was a moment in episode 3 where I look up, and Max and Tori are having a conversation about something I have no clue about. And I'm like, oh my god, I have missed something here, and I was like, I can't take notes. I don't want to miss anything.
That's fair.
Live in the moment. Live in the moment.
That's fair.
I cannot multitask. I cannot, and this is a big part, like huge contention in my living in my household. Hannah makes fun of this all the time, where I cannot listen to a podcast and text because
I can't either.
because I'm like,
no way.
I'm now not. I don't know why I'm texting, and I'm not listening. I'm just doing nothing.
Correct.
So I have to. Yeah, ridiculous.
People who listen to music and work, I can't do it. I start like typing the lyrics to the thing that I'm listening to.
Charlotte, have you ever been to any of my co-working streams?
No.
This is
I mean, for like a hot second, but like
Okay.
when it's that sort of background ambient music, that's
okay.
that's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
okay.
well.
But
I'm
I
listening to
do-
Porter Robinson. I'm not listening to the same
Oh,
Shire songs.
No, I do ultimately start to find it like it's just as a stimulant, like an
Interesting.
overwhelming sensory experience. I can really only have one input at a time. When people are having conversation over me or behind, like my anxiety just skyrockets. I can do one input, so I never listen to music and read, or text while watching a movie, or like nothing. I'm locked into that. thing 'cause
Interesting.
my ADHD is not strong enough.
Hey, Tori.
Oh no, it's gnarly.
I have
Especially
an
if two
idea.
conversations are overlapping. Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Oof, oof, oof.
Tori, can
Killer.
you grab one of your notebooks, flip to a random page, and just read some of the notes?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to
Hold on.
see. I want to see
I
what
had some saved, so I'm
ridiculousness.
gonna go to that one.
Yeah,
The only
yeah.
note that I ever took was one page that
You
has
still have
all
it?
of the shit Beery has stolen.
Oh my god.
Frame that, dude. Oh my
Please.
god. That's
A glowing
incredible.
green gem the size of his thumb. I
Oh.
don't remember that.
Oh.
12 orc ingots.
What?
12.
That's good.
Great.
Tori, I saw you covering your mouth not too long ago.
I'm so glad it's this page.
What'd you turn to?
Beery tells me of flubberworms? ?
Yeah!
No idea what this is, but better safe than sorry.
Another one.
Flubberworms.
Also, Zach, I'm so happy that you tried to mess with them and then you just gave me something to just run off with, man. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was worried because I came up with the name Flubberworms. I think because in the back of my mind it sounded like something that hasn't been done before. It is so close to, I shall say, the author. This is going to be perfect. The author that shall not be named.
Yeah.
That's who that is immediately. In those books, there are flobberworms.
FLO.
Oh, and I was really worried that this is going to be a whole thing. Because I was like, I think this is going to infringe on something, and like I don't want to get in trouble. I was like, this is too close, and I'm worried that if we keep running, it's going to be a problem. It's not going to be a problem. But,
Well,
like,
the Flubberworm merch is now available at donmarshall72.shop, and every purchase lets everybody know fuck turfs. So, yeah.
exactly. So I'm glad that it ran for as long as it did. There was like, what I was trying to think actually, what other running gags that went throughout the whole, like pretty much throughout the whole campaign.
I
Were
don't.
there any others?
I think that's it.
Yeah,
There were
other
some
than the
that were
hand thing.
close. The hand thing, there were like breaking the fourth wall type ones. There was
Yeah.
me always asking where Gollum was.
Yeah, there you go.
Where's
Gollum?
Gollum?
Yeah.
Constantly just
Avanti being cheese. That was a good one.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that
You know what,
was.
John?
True.
You got asked in chat earlier. Everyone, it seems like every DM has an NPC story that they like about an NPC they regret naming the way that they did. Do you have any regrets about naming Havari that?
Not at all. Absolutely not. No, Havari is my pride and joy. I will stick by her. She is, through my thick and thin, she is my everything. This is just
I
one of
love
those
her.
things I like. I didn't know I wanted to tell my own version of stupid Baron and Luthien, but it is so apt given the story that we were trying to tell because
Fucking sheinass.com.
yeah,
Varian and Luthien.
they're just so, because here's the thing. Romeo and Juliet are morons. They're also teenagers, so it makes sense. This is just the side immortal version of that, you know?
Yeah.
God.
Actually, there's an idea that I'm definitely stealing from a different podcast, but I think it's a great idea. Is that they have anyone on Patreon send in a list of names, like just NPC names. It'll take a lot of the like thinking work potentially out of trying to come up with a random name, especially if there's any ones which you're like, I don't know what to name this character. I would love to hear some of the names that chat would come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Assign to whoever you
Season
like.
two.
But I reckon for season 2, you could definitely do that. Like, make a little list of like either magical items, like home brewed items that we could just pick up or find, and then naming of NPCs. I'd love to get because the chat is so involved. That's what I love about this, is that the chat is always so involved And I would love to get them even more involved and just have little snippets of their imaginative flair come through.
You thought season 1 was unpredicted. Well, get ready.
Can we establish now, because it has been driving me insane,
Yeah.
the spelling of Rayval's name?
Yeah.
Because I believe, based on Elvish convention, because you can't just... This is the thing when people are submitting names. You need to know, like, there are rules for the way that Elvish names are spelled. And I feel like it has to be Rhaeval. Rayval.
Yeah, that's
But
what
if
it is.
that's okay.
Oh,
I've seen
what
That's
is
what,
it?
yeah. Rhaeval.
Oh wow, that is not what I wrote the entire.
There's hey, and listen, it wasn't for me either, Tori. It wasn't for me
Perfect,
either.
okay.
I have literally I forgot Havari's sister's name for like 3 straight episodes. It's Pella. It's very easily written.
yeah.
Yeah, it's written down in my notes. Straight up didn't remember. So I try not to take that part of it too seriously. But yes, Rayval's name is Rhaeval. That is how it is spelled. Also, Winchester Bros donated $5. Thank you so much. An odd or possible suggestion for a guest character for next season, which is Chase Noseworthy, who some of you may know as the Bardic Hearth. I am vaguely aware of Chase, and I am also very desperate to get the Unpredicted party and the guest characters in front of bards, because that just seems to have the best results for all of you.
Mm-hmm.
You do well amongst them,
yeah,
especially you, Zach.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, you're just a little grumpy.
between us, I think
They
Zach and I...
lighten my cold dark heart. Yeah.
Zach. I think between us, Zach and I have know enough like voice actors that we could probably start
Let's do it.
recommending.
Yeah, I mean, there's somebody who I know I think would be bloody hilarious. I've got a list of people that I think would be bloody hilarious. Do you know Ailish Morrison?
Oh my! You've mentioned her. We're mutuals on TikTok.
I
She
think
is
she'd be
hysterical.
so funny. on this.
She'd be great in a shy. Okay, no, while we fan cast seasons 2 and
Yeah,
3 and
yeah.
4 and
Yeah.
5, yeah. Please feel free, if you want, leave suggestions for people that you would like to see, whether that is in the Discord or whether that is in the live chat here or on the comments section, wherever you leave your reviews. Oh, also, for those of you that are listening to this on podcasts, I think I have forgotten to do this literally every episode. Please leave a review if you haven't. I'm sure I may have mentioned that in passing on an after party, but please go ahead and leave a review if this be your final one as a parting gift for all of us to get hopefully 5 out of 5 stars for great production value, sound effects, music, acting, note-taking, general buffoonery.
Just overall. Did anybody nominate us for the Crit Awards again? I would like to know.
I don't believe we...
I'm asking the chat.
Oh, okay, because I don't think nominations were out, are they?
Oh yeah, they've come and gone.
Oh, really?
Awesome. Okay, well, congratulations to the nominees. I
Congratulations,
wasn't...
everyone's nominated. I mean, we don't know yet. It was the fan submission window.
Oh,
So we haven't
okay,
narrowed it
okay,
down
I see,
yet.
I see.
It was
All
just
right.
like, did anybody put our name in the hat?
Yeah. Well, it's too late now as you're listening to this
Midge says
months
that
and
she
months
did.
later. Oh,
Oh,
thank you.
thanks,
Thanks,
Midge.
Thank you. Also, I have one more thing. Tori, can you just go to another piece of your notes? Because I thought the flubberworms thing worked great, and I want to see what we can do from there.
Okay.
I still think Beery does still believe flubberworms, and now that one's trying to comfort him. Like, yeah, I can handle it. I know they're real. They're just up north.
It's like see, this just makes me want to do some sort of like Blue Wizard's dream sequence BS where they turn out to be real in the dream, like Inception style, but
Hell yeah.
I'll write that probably much later and much less sober.
Okay, this one's not as exciting, but it is funny. Gollum is 500 yards off with a knife in his hand.
Oh, yeah.
This is after.
I know the knife.
I know exactly the scene you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yup.
this is after everything at Meadowseld. I also put Silas the dog lives and is indeed a dog, not a man disguised as a dog. Because then immediately it was Grimbjorn going from a bear to a man, and then Silas walked up and was all like,
all animals are
dog
questionable.
also.
Sometimes you just
Remember
need the
that?
cute dog. Gollum 500 yards away with a knife was one of... I'm so proud of that
So
moment in having... You all fail and succeed in that. It was delightful watching your face.
Do you remember that knife?
It's the tin knife, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Tin knife.
Yeah.
So when Gorge, the goodest boy, he sniffed out that tin. I'm like, yeah. Oh, and I had because I like having a plan that has a lot of like branches. It could branch in many directions, right? Gave him that thing so it couldn't actually harm anything too bad. But if we were ever at a moment of like this huge standoff with Guahir or something like that, freaking Bird doesn't know anything about metals and bladesmithing or anything like that. So it's like, oh,
Birds are so
please,
stupid.
stupid ass Bird, take me with my father's blade, and like it would just like bend up against him, but maybe give everybody the in to like do some stuff. I don't know.
Your mind
It
is
was a very-
fascinating, Max. Holy, you thought of that just from making a tin knife?
Who wouldn't? Like that was like the
It's me,
that
man.
was like the reason.
That was the
I
knife
think so.
Tinel. That was the knife Tinel took into Metaseld.
I remember.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So
Sneaked
when
it in.
works.
You're just like,
Get in.
That's
yeah.
so
That'll work.
funny. That's so
Because there's
funny.
something. I mean, of course, a sharp, dangerous blade is useful, but there's also use of like a worthless knife
Yeah.
that you can hand to somebody to do something evil with.
That's why I always get mad in movies when they throw the empty gun at someone. Like, no, that is a heavy metal object. Hit him with it over and over
Yeah, but
again.
it's such a good sight gag.
It is such a good
It's
sight.
just such
It
a great
really
sign
is.
of frustration.
Oh,
It's like, that's what I'd do probably.
good for you.
I have a question. I sense we're coming near to the end of this, and
We're
it might
wrapping
take
up.
some
We
time
got a
to
few
go around
minutes.
and answer this. It's like, what are some of your favorite moments that wouldn't necessarily be the obvious choices? Like, I think we could all agree on some of the beats that we all loved. Yes, Don?
I will absolutely go first on this while you
Okay.
think of the answers. There is a scene that no joke, I have screen recorded on my phone and I listen to over and over again when I'm submitting samples for like work and direction for like productions and stuff. And it is the scene between you, Tori, and you, Zach, after the Paths of the Dead in the Anna Maria episode when you are reconvening and you're going, I think it's like episode 44, and you're going up to Halloweth and being like, hey, I don't know what you've been through, but I know our eyes have seen the same evil. And then I think you say something like, Zach, you're like, well, if anyone can make me smile, it's you. And it's like, you have some amazing callbacks, and Tori, you make some shade. Halloweth, you reference your backstory, and I put in this little ambient sound of like crickets chirping in the background and campfire stuff. And to me, that is just like the quintessential
I
scene.
would like to hear, make a TikTok of that or something.
I
TikTok
100%
of that,
need
bitch.
to.
What the hell?
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like-
episode 44.
I feel like I have heard that clip. I think you were doing
I
like
have
I might have sent it in the group
Yeah.
chat because it is one of my absolute favorites, because it's just like that perfect combination of like all the right TTRPG elements in one.
I think
who's that?
yeah, I think you maybe made a TikTok where that was one of the snippets
Might- did
between
I
everyone. I
Seems
can't
Oh,
familiar.
you know what? It might. Yes, this was back when I was trying to do the audio promotion. This is probably
yeah.
ages and ages ago, but I will
That
see
was
if
a
I
really
can-
great episode. That whole like aftermath
So
of
good.
that.
Yeah.
And Tariel had a really great moment with Arwen in that episode.
Yeah,
that I still
about
really think about and
bloodlines.
cherish a lot. That
Love
was really
that.
beautiful. That was like one of the first moments that Tariel started to feel like she mattered. And
Was-
that was like just the power of Anna Maria mostly. Like,
You speak as though
started
destiny.
to feel like I mattered more.
Yeah. There in real life, she has that effect. Trust me.
Yeah.
I think the line was, "You speak as though destiny does not caress you." Also,
Yes, that.
yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
I still think
God
about
damn
that.
it.
It's so good. It's
know.
so good.
I know.
I don't have a lot of notes from that session
Yeah.
because it's just blank and it says "fuck these notes, write them down later."
Yeah,
It's like
I'm
I'm
so
so into
focused on it.
I have
That's amazing.
nothing from that episode because I was locked in.
Oh, Josh says, I think about the scene right after Paths of the Dead where Tariel says she wants to be alone and other characters keep trying to talk to her and she keeps saying,
Yeah. I came up to you with Rayval, and oh my god, that was that whole like that was what I loved so much about the second half of that episode after Paths of the Dead, was that we had already had arguably our best moment up until then, probably one of our top 3 at least currently. And then to go beyond that and do like another hour or so of just character building around a campfire was phenomenal. I loved that.
Well, and from the Paths of the Dead, you keep talking about Anna Maria's Gandalf and stuff. I'll be honest, I don't remember that. Because the thing that I remember most from that, well, there are 2 things I remember, which was crossing the rope bridge, which was just really cool. That was just really harrowing and fun. Like, are we going to make it across this chasm?
And just classic.
It was so good. Everyone had like a different way of trying to get across it, and I just thought that was really cool and just tense and exciting. And then in the Paths of the Dead, that moment where like Beery got yeeted over like
that's what I was gonna say is throwing Beery.
And it was so cinematic and slow motion. Just I could picture all the elves just like watching him go over, and he did this like great roll when he landed, and it was just it was a tension release in this moment of very high stakes, and I don't know, it felt very Unpredicted Party to me.
Quintessentially so. Yeah, I have that image in my head. I've storyboarded it out of that scene in whatever Steve McQueen, Great Escape, where they see the boots, and then the camera pans up on the boots, and you kind of just look up. I just imagine the boot from the King of the Dead, and the camera pans up, and you see Beery's face going up and up and up, and he's holding Anduril in his fist, like, so good. So good.
That made me really
That felt very Unpredicted. That whole episode was very Unpredicted. I actually loved the episode after that when we go down right towards the river and we talk to this
and you meet this man right here, right?
Is it when we talk to the fish?
Yeah.
That's weirdly that whole episode and trying to figure out it I love that episode. It's one of my personal favorites, and it's not a big one in the whole grand scheme of things, but that's why I love it, because it felt like this is why we're doing what we're doing. This is why this whole big scheme matters. Is trying to help this poor man like with his crops. And trying to make that. I think I tried to. The one thing I did was try and make his crops grow.
You did. You grew him some food.
And that to me was the quintessential part of why I love these characters. Is because they didn't just. They were doing this amazing, grand, cinematic, epic adventure for the sake of helping someone grow some food, or helping someone do the smaller things, which is what the whole Lord of the Rings is about. Is even the smallest things can change the course of the future.
It's not about the volcano; it's about the Shire.
And that's why I that whole episode of that one NPC. Who's one of my favorite characters in the whole campaign.
Oh, thank you.
Because of that, it's do I trust you? No, it felt such a human moment in
Thank you, Zach.
In a world of fantasy, in magic and elves. This one it could have been any world, any universe. It's the same raw and just people wanting to help. And I think it was a really lovely episode.
Thank you.
May
I reveal a little bit about that episode then, just to kind of give So that character is actually slightly loosely based on my own grandmother. She suffered from a lot of trauma and stuff growing up, and she was a hoarder. And I remember very young when I was with her once, she said, no, I can't leave this house. I'll die. And she had quite literally convinced herself that, like, this is my home, this is where I am staying. And I took that and I made it a little bit more Lord of the Rings, and like, what does it look like when you're the last one left? And how does that translate into taking care of yourself? And I thank you for saying that. That is, I don't often think about that episode, but I do love that character and doing that voice.
I think about that episode a lot. That's why I well, for all the reasons I've said, I think it's a beautiful human moment in a fantasy world.
Thanks.
So.
I love that. Good answer.
Cool. Other favorite moments? Anyone else?
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I would say, and also we got another really great question from Midge in the chat, which we'll come back to. One of my favorite out of character moments was Trevor We were talking earlier about I don't remember now who it was. I think we were talking about maybe Max like not being a role player or something like that, which like obviously is not true because you're amazing at everything that you do in this game. But like Trevor was kind of the same way. He didn't really have quite the same experience with this sort of intense level of role play, and he was really nervous. And there was a moment at one point where like Kiri had done some really great speech. He'd done just something really great, and the episode had been wonderful, and he'd livened it up, and he was fitting in with everyone really great. And like, you know, at the end, I think we all just complimented him. We were like, "We're so happy that you're here," and he kind of teared up a little bit, and he was like, "I've been so nervous. Like, I wanted to do a good job."
He did.
And I just hope that I did a good job. And I wanted to like pinch his cheek.
I know.
It's just, you're so like, and your character is so great. And I didn't get to like really answer the question earlier, but like absolutely Arcurian is a character that I would love to have like joined the party forever because he was so delightful, and so many delightful things happened in the presence of that character. And took us to really great places. And
may I also briefly interrupt with a little bit of a fun thing with the Arcurion story arc, because that was thank goodness Trevor came along when he did, because that was about the point when I'm like, oh, I have to completely rewrite the Gondor arc because the Paths of the Dead makes things a lot easier. Okay. But I'm so glad that it came out that way. But you guys were supposed to have a huge fight. We didn't have any combat in the Arcurion arc, minus the sea snake in the beginning when we were just sort of like meet cute battle style. This was supposed to be literally the pirates versus Arcurion's dad's men and sort of who we were going to be siding with and what we were going to be doing. And then Trevor rolls a Gandalf and crits on that. And so I went, uh-oh, wait a minute. I think maybe he might see reason. Let's do that. And so the bows come down of the 12 guards that were straight up ready to just, because like, you know, the prince's son shows up on a boat with some pirates, take down the pirates because that's a potential hostage situation. So I really liked that. That's how that turned out.
yeah,
Beautiful.
I agree.
And
That was really great.
working with Trevor, all of us together, and I really think that like our collective chemistry helped him feel very comfortable. You know, you know, like, oh my God, that was really special to see him just totally like bloom before our eyes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was
felt
cool.
like it felt like a microcosm of our whole thing as a team and the way that we've sort of grown together over the course of the last few
Bingo,
years. I just
Charlotte.
thought it
Yeah,
really-
he
it was
experienced
really
what we've done over the course of 3 years. He experienced that in like 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just dropped right in. And
Straight
it
up.
was, it was great. It was a really beautiful thing to see. So we're
And every
here
time-
Trevor,
Yeah. Every time we were like, "Can you come back for one more episode?"
which we felt about all of our guests. Like,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of them.
100%.
I could sooner
Oh,
choose
yeah.
a star from the sky, but like,
Mhm.
yeah, there's something about that was really satisfying. Please.
No, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say led to another one of my favorite moments, which is Hallowith racing a duck.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I
Rocky
forget I
style
gave
on the
you
beach.
that. Forget I gave you that sometimes on a whim, just being like,
That long boy.
Would you like to race?
That happened. Yeah, it's on the longboard. My God. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I totally forgot about that.
How could you forget about that as a bird lover?
I know. Because it was so brief. I remember loving it in the moment. It because it was a complete aside from the story. But that was a moment of lightness in the whole thing. But
you need that levity when you're saving the world, though. I think that's how you can
Every
get it.
chance we get.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
trying to take as
Absolutely.
many moments as possible. Like, how do we add some fun? You know?
Sengaya, whom we haven't mentioned all. I just want to
I've
get
been
a
thinking
word
about
in
her. She's been on my mind.
No, she's
Yeah, I
always on
bet.
our minds.
I bet
Yep.
she's.
Yeah. I hope
she-
wherever Sengaya is, she's doing great.
I'm sure she is happy.
Yeah, she.
Happy and well fed.
Yeah.
I
What a
have.
great character.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
so
Max,
great.
please.
Well, I have like one for like each of you. You know, like
By all means.
Aw.
By all
oh
means.
my God. Well, like one of them was like our first episode was us, Zach, was when, like Beery like elbowed Hallowith like in the thigh and was like, look at that. And don't touch me.
Yeah.
You know, and that was like, yes, okay. here we go. I'm gonna poke
Yeah,
the bear as much
That
as
was
I can.
that was I remember that because that was also one of the first that was the first clip that came out of Unpredicted Party.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I used that
Um,
for the opening shot of the trailer. That was the
Yeah.
first like voice clip I used.
yeah,
In oh god, in with Zach, like dude, we've had so many great moments of like when Beery and Hellbeth were bonding over a craft. All of a sudden, like he's like learning more about him, this ancient
Mhm.
grump.
Yeah.
And but I think my all-time favorite was our Freaky Friday. Just
It's gotta
Oh,
That
be.
was just one of
Yes.
the, and I had to say, like, we needed to pick less obvious ones because for me, that one's a no-brainer. Like, top
funeral
three,
episode,
of
to
course.
speak.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
good.
But there's one moment specifically.
Hmm.
There's one moment I can't even talk anymore. I'm having too much fun. My face hurts. Okay, but it was just like I'm gonna sing, and then
Yeah.
watching not Hellbeth, but Zach have a complete crisis. No. Go back and watch it. It's
He
hysterical.
does. He does.
Full crisis.
Yeah. That epi like if I'm gonna show someone, like if I was to say, hey, watch the show, this is the feel of the show, this is how
The
it can
funeral
get.
episode.
I show the funeral because it has the probably the funniest moment for me, which is that whole little part, and the actual funeral itself, which is the start of like, hey, we can do great things as a fellowship. That's like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has such an amazing that episode has such amazing range.
It
Uh,
does. I'm
it-
really proud of that one.
It's a
yeah,
good one.
Yeah.
I still think like we've had some amazing ones. Like especially towards the end with all of our arcs kind of wrapping up, we've had some brilliant pieces of acting, brilliant story beats, and brilliant choices. That episode is still our best, in my
I
opinion.
agree with you.
Yeah, it's a really good
I
episode.
and yeah, and it felt like you could feel it. You could feel the magic of it happening while it was happening.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
I felt very, and I was still so early in that and not sure. Like I wasn't.
You weren't a
confirmed cast member
confirmed
yet.
full-time cast member at that point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what was going with that. But I remember feeling probably the way Trevor did,
Yeah.
like really swept up in it and feeling like
Mhm.
there is something really special happening here, and I don't know what it is, but
Magic.
And
yeah.
number two, speaking of getting swept up in the magic, like seriously, and like this is one of the things that I'm really actually proud of was I have to say it, Charlotte. It's the damn star on the ship. Like
Oh.
Mhm.
that
yeah,
crushed
absolutely.
me, man.
That was really beautiful. And I know, like, I wanted to not, it would have been so easy to come back to that over and over and over again as like a Deus Ex Machina kind of thing. We always have this magic gem in our pockets
Right.
now.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that we didn't. I don't know where that came from, man. You and I just did that.
Mhm.
Well, like I
Yeah.
said,
We just did
way
that, man.
early on,
I'm
it's just like
really,
when things click,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when we're just jiving, it's so magical.
yeah.
Mhm.
And one day I will finish that illustration. I never finish anything that I start, but like,
No rush.
I think I'm feeling intimidated. Like I'm not going to be able to draw that the way that it is in my heart.
Mhm.
But like that was such a beautiful, that whole thing, that whole ship journey
Mhm.
was really
It was
cool
That was a
great.
fun arc.
That was
for
really
a lot
good
of
one.
ways.
I had to put you
Wow.
guys
Just
on
too
a
many good
boat
moments.
somehow, and I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? Because I had also, this was going to be fun. The Wayne Riders. You were also potentially with Kicktar going to be doing some sort of. I wasn't sure how I quite wanted to handle it, but that sort of caravan episode where I introduced Singaya and put you on the boats and all
Oh,
those.
yeah.
Those are like my attempts to introduce and make the world a little bigger with some NPCs, and also bring back a few if you like them. But as soon as you guys went south, I was like, they're gonna do good stuff on boats, and you did.
Mhm.
You
Put that in
did.
quotes.
Isolation.
Yeah, basically.
The Unpredicted Party. They're going to do good stuff on both.
You did though. It's some of your
That's where
finest
Sexy
work.
Chicken started.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's where
right.
I think that's where
True.
Tario learned about Thranduil. That was a whole
Yep.
thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There's something
Oh.
about having to kill time in isolation, right? You can't go anywhere. You have to talk and sit around. Like those are some of my favorite. You being shipwrecked, or in any type of story arc is like when characters are stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yep.
Then they can journey like inwards, right? But like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, let me get to Tori.
It's
Yeah.
Tori.
Before I
Oh, yeah.
like run this too long, one of my favorite moments with little Tin was like the first thing that Beery ever made for her.
Mhm.
And like I think we were in Rivendell.
Yeah.
think you were
And it
still in
pulls her
Rivendell.
aside
This
and
was
they had a
this was
moment like, I will
post
never forget
Angmar.
Mhm.
Oh yes, this was the post Angmar
Yes.
forging scene with Aaron.
And man, like I think that actually changed me. You know, of like what thoughtfulness and what a gift can like mean to somebody.
Mhm.
You know, like that changed me, not just Barry. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm
Ah,
grateful for
God.
that.
I love every single one of Beery's gifts.
Man.
Every time.
perfect.
And always
Yeah.
with the drawings and the
I
whole.
know.
Though Tori,
Well, I can't
man, the
explain it.
forge at the end. Got him. Got him. I was like,
I-
someone's got to get him.
I'll find the note somewhere, but I wrote that down specifically after something happened, and I can't for the life of me remember. I was like, I'm building this man a forge. He's coming with us to the Undying Lands. Like, I was like, this man lives. He gets a forge. He gets.
You get
For
a
the
forge.
life of me, I can't remember when that was.
Oh,
I don't know, but I'm
I
glad
so
it happened.
cool.
Because
gotta
every
find
time
it. So cool.
Max like would make the next most beautiful thing, I was like, I can't repay this. We're not like
Yeah.
this is just so much
That's not what it's
effort.
about.
I know, but still, like you just feel it in your heart, like you just so effortlessly seeming make these beautiful things for us, and I'm just so grateful,
Oh,
and
I
hope you know
it's
that.
fun. You know, I think it's good practice, right? I'm always prepared for, I don't know, something. You know, just make stuff.
Yeah, sure. You gotta just
Make
make
stuff.
stuff.
Just
Gotta
make
get ready to
stuff.
make stuff.
Okay. We got one more with the favorite scenes, Max. Did we do? I think we did.
No,
Zach,
God,
we
I
did Tori.
rambled on forever
Go
on
on.
that. Sorry.
Okay.
No, you're
Don,
fine.
and I know we're gonna wrap soon. What was your favorite NPC?
Oh God.
Ooh. Wait, can we guess? This
Yeah.
is gonna
Okay.
be
Yeah. Get your guesses.
I
in.
think it's Singaya.
I think it is too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was between Singai and Rayball because I think you had fun playing Rayball too. Because that kind of developed as he went. And
Yeah.
he got more.
Yeah, he got more important for
Mhm.
certain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a Sengai just because I think you enjoy the you enjoy the confidence that Sengaya has.
The
I-
barbosity, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You would be correct in all saying Sengaya is my favorite NPC to play. However, I will say I really liked Havari. I liked playing Havari, I think, the second most, not necessarily because Rayval is just me, but in high school and a little bit different.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah, come on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You don't have to wear makeup to be beautiful. Yeah, I was that guy. and I've learned, and I'm hoping he learns from his mistakes too. But no, I really liked the idea of Havari being a foil to Tinel, and Tinel, you just taking the mantle and running with it.
Yeah.
I
That was
didn't have
awesome.
plans for that character, but like I watched you develop the plan that I knew would make the best story and just ran with you on it. And then Rayval
That
happened.
really was something that she didn't plan on either, and that I didn't plan on at all. But I was like, "Oh, this would be good."
Yeah.
One thing
Oh,
one thing I remember halfway through, which I don't think we ever brought up, but Havari's most important person was her sister. Does anyone remember her name?
Well,
It was
we covered
Pastrami
it.
or something.
No, it was Pella,
It was Pella.
Hella, right. Hella,
but we could never remember it.
no, but also as soon as we got off the ship and we kind of went away and got near Mordor, Pella disappeared.
Bye.
Yep.
Who
Yeah,
cares?
bye.
Yep.
The planet. Nobody. She was never heard from
I
again.
assume she became a squire or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Assume whatever.
Word of
But
the
I found it very
same.
funny. It's very funny to see how a character becomes more important, and then the most important person to her was Rayval, and
Yes.
suddenly Pella is
Yeah.
gone.
She's a stupid teenager.
yeah.
Yep, correct.
That's, again, it's been my whole thing of like, they're Romeo and Juliet's Baron and Luthien. They're just dumb. Because
Yeah.
like you're at that point, it is literally, it's like, oh, you've been blinded by something and you've
Oh, absolutely.
let
Oh,
it infect
was very
yourself.
funny. It was
Yeah.
very great.
Although I will say I did love the Pella scene that I gave to you, Zach, where she just climbs up to the top of the mast on the ship and I'm like, hi, can I just sit up here in silence with
that?
you so no
Yeah.
one else
That
bothers me?
That was sweet. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's the only interaction I.
It's the only
Yeah.
scene I gave her. It's the only scene
Yep.
she had.
Yeah.
But it worked. It worked.
Well, it's
It
good.
got the character across.
I do find it was very funny to play someone with, like complete disregard for you are going to be here for a blink of an eye to me. This you like in the nicest, not offensive way that I can possibly make this. You don't matter to me. Like you
Okay.
just don't.
That's fine.
It-
And to her, that's fine. She's
Yeah.
you know, she's
Yeah,
seen some
it's
stuff.
funny.
Oh,
Good.
Yeah.
Midge was asking what our favorite battle moments are.
ooh. All right. Why don't we make this sort of our final ending awesome moments? Tori, you
The whole Saruman fight after Gandalf leaves,
That's correct.
that whole fight, that's one of my favorite episodes. That one actually
Yeah.
might be my favorite.
Ooh.
Beery
And-
sailing through the air.
Fury sailing through
Again.
the air.
How'd you know? Well, like, so
Haloweth sailing through the air.
Yes.
I actually just found that page too.
Nice.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah.
I just
that was...
I just remember all of your faces when Beery's working hard to like turn the catapult, and everyone's just like, yes, he's doing it.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, like, it comes to my turn, and he's like, cutting the rope.
I can picture it so clearly. There was something so manic about it. It was such a absurd last ditch decision to
Mhm.
make, and delightful and very cartoonish and very just peak Beery. It made me, and it didn't go well at all.
No.
No, it's terrible.
No.
But
The
it worked out
landing was so
perfectly.
bad.
Yeah.
It was such a good fight.
But that's Beery.
It's great.
Well, it also
really
had
fight.
one of my favorite Beery Tinel moments, which is her holding him and him saying an elven go.
I
know.
That broke me.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
right.
Yeah.
That was the moment.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh.
my god.
That
I
was
think-
really, really
I
good.
think we've got fan art of that moment, if I'm not mistaken. Was that
We
Chloe
did.
or
Yeah,
something?
we
yeah.
do.
Chloe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who hasn't done it in a while? I miss Chloe's art, but yeah, that was a really great moment.
Yeah. Love that.
That she illustrated.
Okay, favorite battle moment. Zach, we've got some peak. Actually, yeah, we'll go to you next because you've got some
Yeah,
peak
when you go,
battle
Zach.
moments. Someone said in the chat, you pancaking the wraith in the Paths of the Dead with the
Yeah,
hammer.
I mean, listen, Pass of the Dead
Mhm.
was tremendous fun for battle-wise. Halloweth has some great. I'm very pleased with the battle choices that Halloweth had. Because I didn't want to do the like. It's very easy, especially with D&D in particular. I play him as kind of like a rogue in terms of like he hides, he sneak attacks, you get extra damage for doing cool like a good shot. It's so repetitive, and I didn't want to do that. And I which is why yeah, pancaking the wraith is great using Beery's axe the hammer, sorry, just to whoop him down. Tremendous fun. I mean, he got fucking 5. It's still the most proud thing I think I've done at this podcast. 5 rates, absolutely. Those are
That
just
was
yes.
Yeah.
names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite battle moment is just either Tinel with the Balrog charging that whole scene
Yeah.
is
That was
incredible.
fun.
That was
I love that.
gnarly.
That was
That,
fun.
that battle was exactly, it was gnarly. That was tough.
Mhm.
And that felt very, again, that was a moment of mortality, which elves don't usually have, which I thought was really cool.
Mhm.
Saruman, getting Saruman thrice. It's great.
Bruh.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. I think genuinely that might be my favorite thing was that first one at Orthanc.
Yeah.
Just the surprise and the Don not knowing what to do.
Panicked. I was full on broken. It's like, oh, this didn't.
That was tremendous. That was great to see. It was
John Marshall is loading.
yeah, it was great to see a scramble of like, thanks for watching, everyone. Shit. Like, yeah, that was really fun. Also, because it saves it was also the moment where Halloweth, like a real moment of caring for Beery specifically. Like I've got it. This is almost pointless, but I'm going to do this while Beery is in danger, and I like that little character moment.
My favorite battle moment of yours is when you did the stupid stuff with the Witch King of Angmar and the three-headed thing in our
That's
live
what
show.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I love that whole fight. It was
So
just
good.
watching. That
Yeah.
was like kind of the worst tactical decisions that Halloweth has ever made, but they looked so cool.
Mhm.
So that's I talk about this a lot with Hannah. That's Hannah's favorite moment of Halloweth's that she's seen because it would have been so easy to do the plan. the plan is solid, the plan is easy. You catch it with a net, threat neutralized, job done, bing bang boom kind of thing. Like real easy. Like and I was like, this is a live show. I'm worried this is not going to be interesting enough for
You
everyone.
made the bold choice. You made the bold choice.
It was the dumbest thing.
No, it was so dumb.
Leroy
but it was so great.
Jenkins.
Absolutely 1000%. That was how it was Leroy Jenkins.
I'm
going.
like, I regret nothing.
It was so it was selfishly, I enjoyed that a lot because it gave Tariel sort of one of her first heroic moments where she got to like drag Halloweth out of the water and kind of set the stage for that, like, not until we've won our freaking chicken.
Yes.
And, like, you do not get to die before I beat you. And also it was the moment she got to shoot an arrow up a cloaca, which was that was the only time that Tariel actually made her roll for
I forgot about that.
Shot.
Forgot about that. That was
like very, very good for me.
Also, huge shout out to Littlefoot Flo for
$20
$20 donation
Holy
and the
hell.
super chat. Thank you guys.
Littlefoot.
Really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Who hasn't gone with favorite battle moments now?
I think Max.
Yeah.
Max?
What?
Favorite
I don't know.
battle
We
moment?
Just
agreed
flying
on-
through the air out of a catapult was
Okay.
plenty.
Cool.
Fair
Cool.
enough.
I will say, though, the visual of you holding Anduril against the King of the Dead with all those elves behind you still speaks to me in a very important way.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think some of my favorite moments, like playing Beery, was just like when someone was like really, like, it was the role of protector,
Yeah.
shield up and
The
I
shield
think that
up to
was all-
fight for Tinel's killing shot against Gwai here, literally, because that was who he was coming for.
Oh
and
my god.
you were
That
low
was
health.
wild.
I love that because usually I like to play like super aggressive combatants and stuff, so it's really fun to kind of be a role of support, kind of being your guys's guy who makes Batman's gadgets, Fox.
Lucius Fox.
Lucius Fox, thank you. Like being supportive, and that was a fun thing to explore rather than being like, outwardly heroic. I think it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've gone a little bit longer than expected, but that's typically how these sorts of things
That's
go,
us.
right?
Yeah,
This
that's
was
us,
originally
right,
going to
yeah.
be 30 episodes, and
Yeah.
now it's not. But we are gonna start to wrap here. I do just want to let everybody know as we wrap, this is not the last you'll see of us. We will be back in one form or another. Well, it's a threat exactly, but anyway.
Oh, it is.
You people are gonna see us whether you like it or no. But in all sincerity, if you are watching here in the live chat, if you are watching on YouTube later, if you were listening on the audio in podcast form, thank you so much for being here for the last 3 years. This cast, they're all friends of mine. We will be having various groups of this in one form or another when we all as a four get together next. Playing these same four characters may not happen again. That is a conversation that we need to have with the players about their characters and where they want to go next. I will also be incorporating a number of various other people who are guests who maybe want to come back for a shorter series, maybe a 3-episode arc or a 10-episode arc, something a little bit more manageable. And to that end, we've sort of created the moniker of Unpredicted Productions so that all of this can be taken a little bit more seriously as we continue to move through this. I'll have more announcements coming through the Patreon, especially if you go to patreon.com/DonMarshall72. That's where a lot of this is going to live. But of course, we want to be able to be there with you in live chat and hang out with you guys because this is something that we absolutely love doing. And we would like to keep this going for as long as we can. And whether we take breaks for a really long time or we're doing this every week for the next 15 years, that might be a little bit extreme, but thank you for the support and for sticking with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that's currently sending in money.
Yeah,
Thank
oh my
you.
god.
Look at that.
Amanda,
So
thank you,
kind, you
Midge. Thank you,
guys.
Charm. It's very kind of you. I will give everybody sort of their closing statements as we wrap on the cast party episode of the Unpredicted Party. Anybody want to volunteer to go first? All
Sure.
right. Okay,
just-
Max, go ahead.
Yeah, what the
Everyone's
hell?
fine.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Chad, for being so generous. Oh my God, Don works hard on all this, So I'm really excited for what the future holds. Maybe it doesn't all take place in Middle Earth. Maybe we branch out into other Don hyperfixations. and we'll
I got
see.
plenty of those. My friend.
Yeah, I think we have something special here, We got good chemistry. We have a lot of creativity amongst us. So I'm stoked. I'm really excited. I'm pumped. Someone else take it away. Grateful.
My very favorite thing of all of this was the first time we all got to hug.
Yes.
That was my favorite
Great
thing.
moment. There's a great photo of that.
There's a couple of great photos of that, and the second favorite thing is the photo of all of us at NoCoCon with all of the fans that had come from hither and yon to come see us. I was so touched by that.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming to the live show. That was incredible.
Yeah, but not just
Seriously.
like
Have more
I mean,
as well.
and more, but the people who've turned up every week in chat and like kept the Discord going and have fan theories and have really emotionally invested in this story, and people like even tonight have been reporting that it's inspired them to start DMing their own games and use the One Ring and all of that stuff. That's just so, it's been so important in the wake of the pandemic and as things have just gotten so rough out here. It's been really meaningful to me. But that first cast hug hit different.
Yeah.
And also, I'll tell chat, the last night of NoCoCon, I cried real hard when we were saying goodbye for the last time because it was so important to me to feel included in something, and I'm very grateful to everybody for letting me be here. So that's my favorite thing. Is all of it.
Love that. Tori?
I just want to thank, kind of piggybacking off of Charlotte, everybody who's been with us the whole time or has shown up every week into the live chat. Y'all have made my night
For real.
so many times. Your reaction, I have screenshots of y'all's reactions because they bring me so much joy. So truly thank you for sticking with us and liking our stuff.
Yeah.
That's the biggest compliment ever. So I
Really?
just thank you. That's been really incredible to see. I love seeing everyone's reactions. And yes, Witchery, this is a dragon skull.
Yeah.
It's been here for
the
2 years.
whole time.
It has been there the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much I can say in terms of looking back, which hasn't already been said. It's been lovely to have everyone here every single week to be present and to play with us and to be so involved and to make us feel like this is something, because we can feel it here, that the chemistry is great and we're having a great time playing with friends. That would be all fantastic, but we stream it for a reason. We put this online and make this public for a reason, and to have that validated is really, really lovely for us to be like, we're not just shouting into the void. There's people that appreciate this, and that's really nice as creators, as performers, which we all are at this point. So that's really fantastic. And that this, as Don has said frequently, this is not it. We're all gonna be back.
Yeah.
There are so much stuff that we've had production meetings. This has become a full-on thing of, hey, how do we progress this and grow and keep everything that's really important, which is a lot of it is you. And there's going to be, it may not always be in Middle Earth. I'm sure there's plenty of other stories to tell in the world of TTRPGs, other systems, other games, but just know that we are all wanting to be part of that. We will all be here, and we hope you will be too. Welcome very much to Unpredicted Productions. There's a lot of fun stuff going to happen.
Yep. What they said.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all. Seriously, this has been kind of a life-changing thing. I'm a completely different person than I was when we started this in so many different ways. But thank you all for being there. This is a very silly premise to a very silly question that we made into something so heartfelt, and I'm very grateful that we were able to do that. Thank you all for submitting your questions in the live chat. Please, if you are not already, join the Discord. Follow us all on Threads, on YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok.
Yeah, don't do Twitter.
Don't do Twitter.
Don't do Twitter.
Don't do Threads if you're gonna help it. But
Yeah, Blue Sky.
Blue Sky's great. Blue
Anything
Sky's
else?
fantastic. We should
Blue
make
Sky's
an
amazing.
we should make an unpredicted productions Blue Sky. Really, we'll try and
yeah.
make great memes on that. Might be
That'd
fun.
be great.
Oh wait, that's where I could share my memes.
Yeah, exactly.
I've made like 4 or 5.
Put them in the sky. The skyline is what we call it.
Tori, did I just hire you as my social media manager for this?
I will make so many memes, please.
Nice.
I will love it. I love making that stupid shit.
Thank you all so much for being here. Stay tuned for more stupid shit. Stay tuned for more heartfelt shit. Stay tuned for more Lord of the Rings, non-Lord of the Rings, heartfelt friendship, safe space, all of the wonderful places that we can exist in harmony here on the internet. Thank you for helping us make this one of those many places. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Yay.
Bye guys.
Love you all.